All right. It says I'm live, and this is kind of an experimental thing. I've been doing the live streams on Monday nights at 7 o'clock, and it's convenient for me, because of my time zone and all that. I know that there are other people across the country, across the world that want to be involved with some of this, but it's kind of hard to accommodate everybody's time zone. So I thought I'd try this at 3 o'clock and see how this works. Maybe I could do one earlier. I don't know. As I look, I see I've got 2 people viewing, and of course I'll have to wait for them to show up on the side here. And oh, Mason Fox is here. Hey, Mason. And we'll see how this goes. It seems like the numbers are getting, or at least at this point with the lockdowns, or hey, RJ. See, I got one from Norway. But the time right now where everybody has to be, is under quarantine or whatever, it kind of makes it difficult. Or, well, I should say, it makes it difficult for all of us to have our normal societal things. But like I said, I was trying to figure out a way to make this work out for everybody in other countries. Now, I don't know what time it is in Norway. Maybe RJ can relate that to us so we have an idea. But of course, it's 3 o'clock here in the afternoon in the United States, in New York, Central or Eastern time zone, let's say. Hey, Arden, glad you're here. And like I was trying to say, the numbers have been getting, or have grown bigger on Monday nights. And I think a lot of that, again, is the quarantine type thing. I think at one point we had about 70 people on. So, see, there we go. This is for, hey, Chuck, glad you're here. Robert, 8 p.m. in Ireland. So this may work out pretty good. Hey, Warren, and we got Lawrence, Arden. So RJ says it is 9 p.m. in Norway. So maybe 3 o'clock is a good time. Maybe. I mean, I could possibly try to do it at 2, but I don't want to overload the whole concept of doing this for everybody. But I'm trying to figure out a way to make it good for everybody to be able to interact and be part of it. So, and with that said, if you are, I've done it recently, last few in particular. Okay, RJ, good. The last few live streams in particular, we have had multiple people on. So I'll do the same thing. If you are, hey, Lawrence, I'll finish that up. I'll get right back to you. If you're interested in being part of this live stream right now, send me an email, joedaddysgarage@gmail.com. And I'll do my best to look at the inbox while we're talking and be able to go from there. So I can send you an invite through the email, and then you can follow the steps to be part of this live stream. So we'll see how that goes. Lawrence, as far as new projects, nothing really new. I did do a video. In fact, I just finished editing a video where I worked on the Radiator, which is there, the old Radiator from that 65 Impala that I did a walk around video on. And so I went through the steps of what I did to make that Radiator fit the car, and I think it turned out pretty good. So that's about the only new thing at this point. Otherwise, there's more stuff going on with the various Mustangs and those projects. So I'll open to questions. We can have whatever conversation we can while we're here today. And if there's something in particular that you feel like it needs to be brought up, that's fine. I know we have some people here. I saw Mason and a few others here from, obviously the U.S. But it's nice to see people, like I said, from other countries involved. you know, as we go through this whole lockdown thing and trying to make things happen, you know, it's kind of, hey, Robert, I'm wondering if Robert, did you get your Cat 5 yet, Robert? Out in the garage. Let's see. So Mason, hey, I'll just pop that up real quick. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I mean, you know, unsure on that one, Mason, you know, when we could actually get together on something, but I'm glad you're interested, but we'll have to see how that goes. So Robert was trying to get his internet out to his garage. He was working on some Cat 5 cabling, and he doesn't have the connectors. So he's going to have to suffer at home, be in the house. But I know he's working on projects. He was working on projects at his home, doing some remodeling and stuff like that. So, Guido, glad you're here. See, now again, this is what I was talking about. I don't know what time, you know, obviously 7 o'clock at night works for me, but apparently it's going to work well for some others. So what I might do, if I can work it out, I mean, I can do more than one live stream a week, especially now that we're all locked up, but I could probably, you know, do one in the afternoon, like maybe on Wednesdays, like I'm doing now. Yeah. So Robert says metal building, no Wi-Fi and no cell service in there. Yeah. That's one big drawback to the metal buildings. And I know even where I work normally, it's all metal buildings, and they do have internal Wi-Fi in the building, but it's kind of intermittent as to how well it works. All right, so I don't see anybody submitting an email to want to get in here, but oh, it's 5 a.m. in Australia, according to Andrew. So you're up early, Andrew. Either you're up early or you're working late. One of the two. There is no happy medium. You know, it's always trying to figure out a good time for this sort of stuff. But like I was saying earlier, I worked on the Radiator for the 65 Impala, and I have a video for that. And you know, it was kind of a new thing for me because I've changed out hundreds of radiators. Okay, so we have Jeffrey Reynolds. Good evening from East London, UK. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to chill while indoors. That's great. So I'm sure it's got to be a similar time. I'm not sure exactly how the time zones are broken down in Europe, but RJ says he said it was 9 p.m. in Norway. So I don't know what time it is specifically in the UK. But anyway, what I was saying was, you know, that Radiator, I bought a new one. Hey, Jack. And I bought a new one, and it wasn't the same, let's say, as the original. And I had to come up with some, you know, a way to, hey, Ricard, I'm glad you're here. Oh, okay. Hold on a minute. We have Jose. I'm not good with I'm assuming Spanish. I know that says videos on the end, and hola is hello. Gusta of, yeah, not good with it. Sorry, but I'm glad you're here, Jose. I am. There we go. So Jeffrey says it's 8 p.m. in the UK. So, like I said, maybe 3 p.m. my time will work out. Oh, okay. Jose says Portuguese. That's good, but I still don't know what it says. Hey, John, Tommy. Yeah, Sweden is 9 p.m. Good. Dennis Paulson. Hello from Canada. I've got some symbols there. 100, 11. Okay. The 88 Katana. Yeah. Okay, great. But anyway, I had to, and again, I'm talking about this radiator for the 65 Impala. You know, the ones they sell are not going to be exactly the same as the ones you have in the car in most cases. As an example, I'm playing with the drain on this one. This is from the new Radiator, and of course it's plastic. So that was one thing. Oh, okay. Hey, Dale. There we go. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate that. I'll give you a bell for that, because nobody has said give me big hug. I like that. That's really nice of you. Thank you. But the drain for the new Radiator was plastic, and when I took off, you know, the new one, of course, or the old one, of course, it had all brass fittings and that sort of thing. And I pointed out I think on the first Impala video that the shroud was bolted to the radiator. Well, the new Radiator had no provisions for that. So anyway, the video goes into details, and you know, for some people, yeah, you're right, Robert. For some people, there was it may be common knowledge as to how, when I go through the video and you see how I repaired it. For some old timers, and I'll say old timers, I'm on the verge of being old timer, I guess. It would be a normal thing for the repair that I did. And that video, I'll cover more of that when we go along. We've got RC Guy Garage in the house. I know I don't know what he's saying. Yeah, he says, ¿Cómo está ustedes, cordón los libros? I don't know what that means. Stein is here, 9:15 for Stein. Join in to the live streams. So I'll offer this again. If you're interested, send me an email right now, joedaddysgarage@gmail.com, and I'll send you a link, and you can jump in here and give us some insight as to how it is in your country, wherever that may be. There you go. I like that. I'd call you old soul when it comes to cars. I like that. I'll give you a bell for that. I like that. Old soul. That's pretty good. Because, you know, that's the truth when it comes down to it. It's 2:15 in San Antonio, according to Steve. 88 Katana, working on a 90 Fox body Mustang. Always more work than what they look like. Yeah, that's very true. But you're right, Jeff. Or I'm going to say Jeff, but it's Jeffrey. You know, actually have Jeffrey written, so I need to say that. You know, I would consider that a good comment, that old soul, because you know, growing up with my dad in the junkyard and being around these cars, there's a lot of people, even my age, that have no experience with those old cars or knowledge. You know, they didn't have that kind of background, and a lot of people just didn't have the junkyard background, period. So in a lot of things that I have learned from, you know, being at the junkyard, things from my dad and different stuff, is invaluable when it comes to doing work on these, you know, these old cars. Yep. Thank you, RC Guy Garage. Thank you, Tim. Oh, look. Guido got his stimulus money today. Wow. He's buying the beer for us. So that's great. Jeff is fine. I set this up a while ago. Okay. Well, that's good. I don't want to, you know, I try to use whatever name is on there because, you know, that's your name. And I know I still get a lot of people to refer to me as Joe, even though I know that they just don't know that my name is Barry, as it says down here in the bottom corner. I am, you know, maybe it would be better if I changed my name to Joe. I don't know. Oh, okay. So we got, yeah, Guido's going to buy some Mustang goodies. Good call. You get a bell for that. Yep. Yeah. 84 C130. Yep. Yeah, I was checking it out, seeing what you had on there. I know you were talking about building a Franken truck. So I was trying to see what you had available or had on your channel. 915 in Germany. See, this is going to work out pretty good, I think. And, you know, Idafix, I guess I'd fix 3M. I'm not sure. He's the one who commented on when I was talking on Monday about one of the odd cars that was at my dad's junkyard was a Goliath. And I think he's the one who gave us the information that it was a German car. And I think he said they quit producing them in sometime in, I'm guessing before 1970, I think is what he had said. I'm sure that car went in the States, the one it was at the junkyard, it went to the crusher. It's long gone. I don't know if anybody else has looked this up. I did look up, somebody sent me a link to the Pope. I can't remember the whole full name of the car, but it was a Pope, 1910 Pope something. And that was kind of neat. You know, you don't see, that's the first I've heard of those cars. And that was really neat to see pictures of one of those. And apparently they're obviously long out of production. I don't know how long they last. I think it lasted, I don't know if it lasted in 1920, but anyway, so that was kind of neat. And, oh, Pope Hartford. That's right. There we go. Stein. Thank you. Yeah. And it was an odd, you know, odd car, interesting car. And it was in that era whenever they were building all the, you know, like taking all the fenders off and making a streamlined, you know, kind of race car. But it was really neat to see pictures of that car. And, you know, I was looking at some pictures. As I've said before, I look on like, well, I'm on several Studebaker pages. I like Studebakers. I like to see what they, you know, the history of them and stuff like that. And, you know, I went back and looked at some pictures of like a 1930, 31, 32 Studebaker President. And it's amazing. You know, you look at the cars of that generation and you had, you know, you could buy like a Duesenberg. Well, Duesenberg was, you could buy it in just a chassis, and then somebody would build a body to fit, you know, the car or whatever. There was lots of variables around that time period. And I was looking at these old Studebakers, and man, they are just gorgeous cars. I could not believe how much it reminded me of you know, kind of like the Duesenbergs and stuff, where it was a big, beautiful car. And, you know, you just don't see them. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's like the Pierce Arrow and, you know, the different ones, different brands. But you see, you know, you just don't see those kind of cars. Yeah, Henry Ford Museum has a list of all the car companies that have existed. Out of the 100, 200, only a couple are left. Yeah. You know, it's like I have a wheel sitting outside. I'm trying to remember what I don't think it's a Whippet. I have to look at it again. Still has a hubcap in the center of it. It was an odd, in fact, it was a trivia question that I posed many years ago as to what that wheel combination was. And then, you know, just a variety of names that you just don't see. Like I said, Pierce Arrow, and there's a company in, what's the name? They're building cars like in Indiana from leftover parts. I think it's in Auburn. They're building new cars, or a limited number of new cars from NOS parts that were bought out whenever the company went out of business. One of the guys his dad had bought like all the pieces and parts left over. And so now they're doing commission builds on these cars. And I think they're building, I think only 50 of them. They only have enough materials for the 50. And, but they're selling them for like $500,000 or something, some crazy number. But, you know, that's the way it is. Here's Stein says, in the 50s, a Norwegian guy produced a car called Troll. Not sure how many he made, but just a handful. Yeah. I've never heard of that name, you know. But obviously, very unlikely that we would hear about those in the States. Auburn Duesenberg and Cord Museum in Auburn, Indiana is a pretty cool museum. in the original Auburn design building. That's cool, and that's what I believe it was Auburn that they were. I think it was Auburn that they were building those bodies. Like I said, I saw it on a some sort of car show where they were discussing. It was on American Pickers. In fact, they had some parts, I think, for an Auburn that they had to get repaired or something, and so they went to this guy's place, and he was discussing how they're building these cars for customers now, and just really kind of neat, just to see somebody building basically a 1930 something car today out of leftover pieces and parts. Idefix, the DeLorean in Houston, is the shop which bought all the parts. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, they're building new ones. And there was talk recently of maybe a whole new production design of DeLorean. I thought I heard some rumor of that. But yeah, that's one of the companies. But that would have been in more of the modern era for those kind of cars. Stein says he only made 5 of the Trolls. Well, that's quite the limited production. I know here in the States, like in the 60s and 70s, when they were racing, NASCAR, they had to build X number of cars to qualify as legitimate production. I think the number was 500 or something. So that may not even really count in the grand scheme of things, other than he made them himself. But here, that would be a very limited production run. Donald Morris II, Panhard car. Not sure what that one is. Sorry. Paying some bills, Guido. Yeah. We won't talk about where I want to spend if I ever get a stimulus check. I don't know if I'll get one or not. Let's see. Oh, they come up with an updated look for the DeLorean. Yeah, I think I saw something where it was talking about the idea that they were going to either bring the name back or something. I don't know, because even though the DeLorean had its faults, it was a pretty cool car from the looks and design standpoint. It had a weak engine. I know they had other issues with it as well, but I think with the right backing and the right, materials in it, it would have been a pretty cool little car. Yeah, Katana, they should remake the 57 Chevy El Camino. Yeah, I doubt they'll ever do that, though. It's enough for them to redesign the Camaro the last time. I think, they tried different things design-wise. Even the Mustangs, they've experimented with kind of doing a retro design, which, if you look at the 2005, that was, I think, supposed to be similar to the 65 Fastback. Similar. And now, of course, they don't look anything like a Mustang anymore. The latest design is just kind of, I don't know. It doesn't look right to me. I mean, it's a cool car, plenty of horsepower. I know it goes fast, but it just doesn't really, to me, doesn't embody I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but just my opinion. I like the older stuff, like the 2005 to 2010. That, to me, I like that Mustang. I just like the shape of it. But let's see. Stein, yeah, it's 1,200 to be a production car. That may be. Yeah, I know. Yep. Thank you, Warren. Yep. I think that's from NASCAR standpoint, it had to be that much of a production. Oh, okay. So Donald's saying the man that came up with the Panhard bar built cars too. So are you saying that was the name of the company, the Panhard? Because I've never heard of that. That would be a new one. I'll give you a bell for that. Because I don't know if that's, I've never heard of the Panhard car, but that sounds interesting. Let's see. Yeah, Chevy did on El Camino based off Caprice in the 90s, was very well done, and they took it to the car show circuit back then. I think I remember seeing that. But I don't think that I don't know if they ever produced anything, though. Did they just do a prototype type deal? Maybe that was it. Because the last El Camino full-blooded El Camino was about 87, I think, 87, 88, when I finished out the Malibus, did away with those. And yeah. Now, see, here's an interesting, I have a bunch of oddball, useless information in my head. And one of my favorite cars, honestly, is a 78 Malibu. Hey, Ted. Yeah. Just trying to fill up some space here. Okay. It's just me. Panhard is a French car. Okay. But anyway, one of my favorite cars is the 78 Malibu. 78 to whatever year they finished out that design. But there's some odd information. If you look at the car, the Chevelle, Malibu, and the transition up into 77, where they were kind of rounded more, let's say, and then 78, they went to a really boxy car. This is where some of the weird information that I happen to collect. 78 was the last year that you could get a 350 engine in that car, but it was also the first year for production. So if you come across a 78 Malibu that has a 350 in it from the factory, that's actually a rare car. They didn't make very many. And then if you multiply that with, you could get them with a 4-speed. So if you ever come across a 78 Malibu with a 4-speed, and especially if it's got bucket seats and all that sort of thing, that is actually a pretty rare car. And then, of course, you run into the oddball stuff where you could buy a wagon with a manual transmission on the floor. I know somebody who has one. And it was but his wasn't a 78. I think it's a 79 or 80. Maybe it's an 81. But his car has a 4-speed in it. But it was, I don't know if it was actually a 3-speed manual and he put a 4-speed in it. I don't remember the variables. But yeah, it's a rare car to find a 78 Malibu 350 4-speed. I'd love to have one of those, just because you just don't see them. Let's see. Yeah. So we have Barry Seifert has a 79 Royal Knight El Camino SS. Now that's the El Camino. As Robert points out, 78 to 88, I have an 84 El Camino, just nose changes those years. Yeah. Yeah. But I like this. The 78 and 79 had that real blunt, squared off grille, which I like. Yeah. Chevy 76 Laguna S3, another rare combination. You just don't see those. Has one for sale. I'm not sure if it's a 4-speed, wants 6,000. If it's in good shape, he'll get it. Yeah, here you go. 78 was the only year for the Black Knight with the dragon on the hood. After that, it was the Royal Knight. So Robert gets a bell for that. Yep. I've seen, I think the Black Knight actually it was black with gold trim, and I think it had bucket seats. It was a full package. And you don't see those. They're very rare that you ever come across one. And I mean, I've never seen one anywhere other than pictures. Barry had an El Camino with a 305 4-speed. So, see, that's what I'm saying. There's oddball combinations out there that, even though the cars weren't highly, let's say, desirable in some sense, they had a unique quality to them. And I've had somebody was asking me the other day how many cars I've owned, and it's been like, I don't know, probably close to 200 cars I've had of my own personal cars. But I've had 78 Malibu. Let's see, I had a blue one, I had a gold one, I think I had a red one, and I had a silver one. So I had at least four, I think, Malibus that I had various years. And I stupidly sold off the 79 that I had because it was at the time when they were doing emissions, and the car it wouldn't pass emissions, and I ended up selling it. '84 Chevy. Do you think I can pick up a Dodge Ram Cummins in a salvage auction Copart? You could. I've heard of plenty of people buying up those trucks. I can't tell you what you're going to pay for it, but obviously it's they're out there. You just got to time it out right, find the right one. Let's see. The Mercury was a '66. Oh, okay, here we go. Sorry, I missed that. Stein says when he was 19, he had a Ford Mercury Comet Capri with a 289. That was back in '87. Yeah, so you had a '66 Mercury Comet Capri with a 289. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you don't see those combinations much anymore. So we have Idefix, I own a '77 Chevy Malibu Classic station wagon and an unrestored original condition. That's pretty cool. Wagons are very popular. Yeah, that's true. The El Caminos, they always had trouble with the rear frame rails. Oh, okay. See you, Andrew. Glad you stopped in. Yeah, the frame rails were always a problem with those cars. And, I've seen here in Georgia, they're not a problem. They're solid. I had a friend who had an El Camino, I think it was an '81 model. Nothing wrong with it. And he was trying to sell it. And nobody wanted to buy it. And I didn't have a place to put it, or I probably would have bought it. But he ended up selling that car for like $1,500. And it was a running, driving, nice car. Nothing wrong with it. No, East Ridge Racing. What do you guys think about cloning cars? I have a '75 Camaro that I'm rebuilding. I have no problem with that. Although, I'm trying to remember, would the '75 Camaro have the same back glass as a '71? So I think the '71, what year did they transition into a more curved glass that went into the B pillar? The '71, I think, was more flat. We need rust. Rust is the answer for your Camaro questions. Double R. Okay, so no, it did not have the curved glass, is what you're saying. Yeah, I have no problem with that. Build it up, make it look like a '71 RS. You're not gonna fool somebody. I mean, they're gonna, if they know their cars, they'll know that it's '75. But I think I love the '71s. I mean, well, I like the 70 and a half. That's a really cool Camaro. Yeah, there you go, Chevy. You can get one. 88 Katana. I almost had a '66 Comet. Some lady bought it right before I got there. Yeah, I've had that. I've had those kind of issues trying to buy stuff. Yep. Station wagons are cool. There you go. Robert, my '84 has no rust. Texas car. Yeah. Yeah, you got to get them down south. You can't buy those cars up north. They will be rotted out. Okay. So East Ridge '74, you're saying? I guess I'm confused now because you're taking a '75, right? You say you're taking a. Got to find the comment. I'm all over the place now. RJ had a 72 C10 through a 7 4-speed with grannies. Yep. I actually had a 72 very similar to that. But I converted it to a 4-speed. There of emissions. Well, we have emissions testing here in Georgia, but they go back 25 years now. When I sold the Malibu, it was many years ago when it was still in the emissions qualification. Yep. Moved to Ohio. Nope. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I'm not moving to Ohio. I know what it's like to live up there in the north, and I'm not going to do that. Yep. Thank you, RC Garage. RC Guy Garage. Thumbs up. Helps out everything. Yeah. Make yourself happy with cars you build the way you want. That's exactly right. I'll give you a bell for that, Donald. Yeah, split bumper Camaro. I like the looks of that car. I really do. It's funny that they added those bumperettes just to meet crash standards, supposedly, but They look pretty cool without those bumpers on when they're all slicked out. And they, the Vega, they did the same thing. I like those Vegas too. I think those are really cool. Yep. You're welcome, East Ridge. Let's see. Oh yeah, tired of emissions, move to Ohio. Nah. The emissions only go back 25 years here in Georgia. So now all the classic cars are safe, really. I mean, 25 years ago, dare I think about that? What year is this? Sort of been what? 95, right? 2005, 2015. Yeah. So all the classic stuff is good, safe. Why are some of the names in the chat in blue letters with a wrench? Because they are admins. So if you see somebody with the wrench, they're an admin, and they have authority to help me with the channel. So if there's somebody trying to spam up stuff, or something, trying to put up stuff that's not good, that they can help me monitor it and delete it from the stream, let's say. Okay, so no wide back window came at 74. Okay. So basically, if you're talking about taking a 70, I think you said 75, and putting it back to a 71 style, it would be a combination. It would have the, if you're saying that's right, but wide back window come out 74, then it's going to have the wide back glass with a 71 front clip. I'm assuming that's right. Still good looking though. I have no problem with that. Yep. Barry, I grew up in Somerset County, if you know where that's at, and moved away a long time ago. Basically, I had moved out when I went to the military in '85. So I went back after that, went to school, and then ended up moving to Georgia, back to Georgia. So I was stationed in Fort Benning, and then back to Georgia in '91. So I've been in the South a long time, more than half my adult life for sure. Yeah. I took a look at your car, Steve. I think I commented. I think I left a message on your message. I'm not sure how many pics you sent me, but I think I know I looked at several. And yeah, your car needs work. All right, we got. Oh, that's a new name, Karsten Seth Olsen from Denmark. Well, you know what? You're the first one I've seen from Denmark, so I'll give you a bell for that. Good. Donald from Michigan. Eric McGinnis, is there a kit to do the swap? There is a kit to do the swap, but the back window would be different. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'd have to, I'm not familiar with that, what you would have to do. Obviously, you're going to change the roof line and quarters and all that stuff to make the back glass fit. Oh, okay. So we have Scott Keeney from Abu Dhabi. Hi, Scott. I'm guessing you weren't born there. It's just a thought. So we got Northampton County. Yeah, I don't even know where that's at, Barry. No idea. No, Stein. I was born in '67. 67. So I'll be 53 next month. Yep. Son was stationed at Fort Benning. Yep. I spent 3 years there. Car was from Ohio. Big mistake. 8 pics. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did see the pics. And I mean, it's savable. I think it's in better shape than the Brooklyn Pony, honestly. I started with basically door hinges from the Brooklyn Pony, and I had to rebuild those too. 84 Chevy, I can't tell you what condition something from Canada would be in. I'm not sure what they, how that year, can't say what they've used on the roads there, and Okay, so it's Scott. Okay, Scott. I really have no background with the Canadian, conditions as to what they use on the roads and stuff like that. Scott Keeney, born in Michigan. My family lives in Dallas, Georgia. I contract over here. All right. Well, that's acceptable. That's good. This is great. We've got 46 people on here. Now I'm going to say it again. And if you want to be on this stream, if you want to be on here next to me talking, send me an email. It'd be great to have somebody from some far off land be on here and tell us about things from their country. So send me an email, joedaddysgarage@gmail.com, and I'll be looking for it. Nobody's taken me up on it yet. So, but I think it's cool. Like I said, I've had several people on. I've had Nick from Nick Pixel TV on here. I've had Andrew from Grease Rookie. I've had Harvey from New Jersey, and Brendan from New Zealand. So that was pretty cool. Stein, I don't know. I may try to do it next week. You can do it today if you want. Not a problem. None at all. You just jump right in. And if you don't want to be on it, that's fine too. I just think it's kind of cool to be able to have this option. East Ridge, I changed the whole front and also cut off the rear end, just welded in the 7073 rear end and boxed in the sides where the taillights go around the corner and rear. Okay. Yep. So you're doing a bunch of work to that car. That's good. That's the 84 Scott, right? Scott. Found a few of those old 76 Chevy military truck, 5 quads in Canada for cheap. Yeah, I don't know what it costs though, Scott, to get them from Canada into the States. I don't know if there's something you got to pay, some sort of a tax. I'm not sure how that works. You probably know more about it than I do, but I don't have any answer for that. But I'm sure usually there's some sort of import fee or tax or something that the government wants to get on you. But yeah, this is cool. We've got 44 people on the stream. Okay. Oh, okay. So Stein is busy. His wife is on the phone with her home country. I know I can say that. Namibia. That's hard to say. You can't say that real fast. Namibia. It's great to see this though. Like I said, we've had several, obviously several different countries represented here today, which is really cool. Eric, I used to be able to click on someone's icon and go well, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm using StreamYard or for my broadcast. I don't know. Might have to just because I can't do it while I'm here. I can't. If I click on somebody, it doesn't give me much of an option to do anything. So I don't have an answer for you on that. I think we were discussing this earlier on RC Guy Garage. He was trying to figure that out as well. He had issues with that, and then he realized that he wasn't signed in. He was as a guest on his own channel, so he couldn't click on things. So I don't know if that's a problem or not. Let's see. Robert would like to go to the desert there. Abu Dhabi, I guess. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. You could say it way faster than that because you've used that word before, but sometimes it's hard to learn a new word. Karsten, working on Buick Electra 67, tried to get prepared for painting. Hard to get all the dents out. Yeah. and that's a challenge. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. So we have a comment from RC Guy Garage, who was, like I was discussing earlier, UT made clickable links unavailable recently to conform to rules. Okay. So other than that, I don't have an answer for you. Oh, okay. So Robert's talking about the Namibia desert. Yeah, Karsten. Yeah, that's a lot of metal. If you're building a 67 Buick Electra, that's like working on a battleship. That thing is huge. So yeah, getting all the dents out, that's going to take some work. You may end up, I've shown it before in other videos where I've put filler across the entire panel after I've hammered out as much as I could and just gone over the entire panel and just block sanded it. And that car, you can't push hard. I know that. If you got a big wide panel, you can't push hard, or it'll want to buckle in a little bit and will affect the outcome. So you have to take your time block sanding on that. All right. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, I don't, let's see. Scott, I don't know if I can get a 5 quad at the moment with all this virus going. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. It's, that are being affected by this virus thing we have going on. Okay, so we have Joseph Roldan, I'm guessing is how that's said. Wonder what country you're from. He's asking, what do you have lined up for upcoming videos, content, new projects? Well, I'm trying to get, as much as I can done on the Brooklyn Pony. I said earlier in a video that I had put on or worked on the Radiator in that 65 Impala. So that's coming up. But anyway, there's really just trying to get more Mustang videos done. And one of the things I wanted to do, I've got to get Jade out of the paint booth. That's where she's at. And so it's going to have to take a little work to get her mobile. So I'm going to have to do something with that to get that car moving. And I don't know if I'll make a video specifically on that or not, because a lot of it's just little things that may not be worth showing. I don't know. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah, Electra's almost bad as Bonneville. Those quarters were very long. Yep. Huge. Oh, okay. There you go. So Eric says he was trying to get out. Check out East Ridge Camaro. I'll pull them up and zoom on the Camaro on the channel's icon. Okay. Well, see there, you figured it out. Ted, have you ever? Have you ever used a shrinking wheel? I have, but I haven't used them on cars. I've done a variety of sheet metal work with industrial shrinking, stretching tools. And I don't know if it was actually a wheel. I'll take that back. I can't say it was actually a wheel. But I have created curved panels, curved flanges, a variety of things with industrial equipment that I have access to, or at least I used to have access to. But I can't say I've used exactly a shrinking wheel, but I have done some custom sheet metal work like that. Yeah. Hey, Brian. Yeah, I figured why not give this a shot. A lot of people are sitting at home, can't get out, and our European friends are showing up and, joining into the conversations. So that's great. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Let's see. Dave Moore, does it normally go through a gallon of filler on an old Mustang? Depends what shape it's in, really. And how, I don't want to put this the wrong way, but how good you are doing body work. For me, I've a lot of my filler I put on, I sand off just because when I'm doing something to where I know I've got some waves or I have a condition I need to get rid of, I may put more on than I need, but I don't do it all at once. I'll put on a layer and work my way out, you know, and so I end up with a lot of filler on the floor, but that's okay as long as I'm not creating more problems. Excuse me. But you could easily go through a gallon of filler, yeah, depending on how much body work the car really needs. So, and I don't know what kind of filler you're using, but that may be part of it too. You know, I try to use I use my Rage Ultra, and anyway, so hopefully that answers the question. But yeah, you could go through a gallon pretty easily. That's a new name. I don't know how to say that. KY. What is the MIG wire? What is the MIG wire size do you use for small welds? Plus, do you use a softer wire? A softer wire. That's an unfamiliar term for me. I use steel wire for small stuff, sheet metal work, 0.023, 0.025. That's pretty much the standard. If I'm doing something heavy, I'll go to 0.03. But that's pretty much what I use, 023, 025, whichever one's available. You know, it depends on where you go. There are some have, you know, different sizes, but I stay with the small size. Oh, wife, you're not getting patient when it comes to Jade? No. No, because it was kind of, you know, when I started building that car for her, she was probably a bit actually apprehensive about the idea anyway. But I would like for her to be able to drive it. And so at some point she will, but I don't know how often. I may have to drive it more often than she does. Scott, I think it was 50,000 US. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of that's a big variance. Let's see, Eric, pretty soon they're going to use people's locations on their phone to follow people, so if they get infected with corona, they can backtrack your location and warn people. Yeah, they're already tracking us. They already know where we're going. That yet wait. That yet have been near. Oh, yeah. Kirsten, I've applied filler to the whole rear wing, sand it down. Okay. Yeah. That's the only way. I mean, I've talked about it before. You can, some people will put a little bit on here and there and you end up with this. It looks okay. But if you do the whole panel and you sand it down to where you start to see through it, you just start to see metal, that's good. Because the end result is once you start applying fillers, I've seen it in the body shop. If somebody sanded through filler and got to bare metal, I know most people can't, but I can pick it out. I can see exactly where that filler was through the metal. Even after applying primers and paints and clear coats, I can see it. Probably 99% of the people won't see it, and that's fine. But by doing a complete coat of filler and sanding it down to where you just start to almost see the metal coming through it, I like that. That works better for me. Robert Adams, there's an S3 wire that is supposed to be easier grinding, but it's difficult to find. Okay, I'll give you a bell for that. I've not heard of that, and and Barry says it as well. So you have to share the bell with Robert. Sorry. Now, I've not looked into that at all. I seem to have a fixation with grinding anyway. It's kind of satisfying, but it's a little more work, but I don't know. I've been grinding on stuff for so long in my life that it's just, I'm used to it. All right. We'll see you, Katana. Yeah, well, it depends. Now I'm probably going to have to work longer, Stein. Based on the way things are going. I'd hoped with the way YouTube was going, that I could see a potential of retiring in the next 3-4 years or something like that, and use the YouTube money as a kind of a backup type of thing. But that's all changed. You know, the way that this coronavirus or COVID-19 is affecting us, even the YouTube stuff is dropping out. You know, the money is tanking out of it. But like I said in Monday, it isn't money that I'm counting on anyway. You know, it's just there. I did have somebody first time last week or on Monday, he did a super chat, which I didn't even know how that really worked until I started researching it. And it was, he had, you could do a super chat and it prioritizes your question basically, or you could send like little things. It was really interesting. I didn't see that until Monday for the first time. So that was kind of interesting. Hey, Leonard, glad you're here. Let's see. 70S6, mild steel, 02302 fees. Okay. So KevChat dropped in there with some information on the mild steel. So thank you, Kev. Give you a bell for that. That's a little bell. Let me give you a bigger bell. There you go. All right. Guess what? I'm going to see if I can get Ricard on here. Hold on a second. Let me get this taken care of. We're going to get Ricard on here. If you haven't seen, Ricard has the 69 Mach 1 in Sweden that we did a viewers project video on, and so that was great. I was very happy to see him produce that video. Let's see. Scott says, thinking of buying his uncle's 99 Dodge Ram with the 360 Magnum. It's going to be a paint job. It's a black truck. Yeah, those are good trucks. I have a friend who has a 96 that I've worked on many times. It's got 300,000 miles on it practically. And let's see, Kentucky Boss 3. I'm sorry, but the Dodge, his truck keeps on running. It's got a 360 in it. It's not the prettiest truck, but you know, hey, it's a work truck. It's what he does with it. I have to back up. There's another question I missed. Larry, and see, that's where this thing, when I said earlier about the super chat thing, like on Monday night, we had a bunch of people on here and the questions were rolling through and I was like, I'm panicking. And that super chat thing, like I said, it highlights it. It makes it like, changes the color of it, makes it a priority and whatever. So that made it great for, answering his question that he had. Larry 68 Mustang, would you recommend using flux core for floor pans? I can't recommend flux core for really much of anything, honestly. I just don't like it. It works. You know, a lot of people have used it, but it's just not my thing. I like the gas welding. It's cleaner. Seems to do a better job in my opinion. But you know, some people like it, but I really don't like using flux core for sheet metal. For frame or something heavy, I like it, but not for doing sheet metal work. Okay, so here we go. We've got Ricard. So we're gonna get Ricard in here in a minute. Let me go through some of these questions. Okay, so I get it now. Kentucky Boss 302 LS. That's what your name stands for. Okay. Well, that's kind of hard to say, but I accept that. Robert, I was almost time to see if I get Wi-Fi on the back porch and do it from there. Yeah. Okay, Stein's got to go. All right, we'll see you, Stein. Glad you were here. So we have Ricard. Everybody say hi to Ricard. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. I think there's a lag.
Okay, there may be. So I'm not sure how much of a lag. It's kind of hard to relate.
Yeah, I think there's a video lag, but I can hear you good. I think
Okay.
the sound is good.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, looks like I assume you're on your phone?
No, my computer.
Oh, okay. So, but it looks like you might be out. Are you out in your garage?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Well, how's that? How's your work coming on the Mustang? Have you gotten the frame rails and everything in place?
It's let's see, it's all mocked up.
Okay. Great. But is anything welded in yet?
No, nothing's welded in yet. It's those shock towers there. They leave a lot to wish for when it comes to fit. So I've done some welding on them to adjust them to fit the car.
Okay. Great. Well, how's everything else in Sweden?
It's we're getting hit hard in the coronavirus right now. Sweden has chosen some kind of weird way that no other country's chosen. The schools are open, stores are open, people are out and about pretty much. They want you to work from home if you can, but I find people mix too much, and we have lots of deaths.
Really? Okay. Yeah, no, that I've seen things on the news that Sweden was still operating, let's say, but
Yeah.
so how is it affecting you? Yeah, I mean, is there any issues with you at all?
No, not me, but we believe my wife had the coronavirus. She was very sick for a while.
Really? Okay.
She's recovering now, but we see today a local Swedish, very known TV radio profile guy just passed away, 51 years old.
Really?
Yes, and people are just mixing too much with each other, I find, and it's in my opinion the wrong way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and for us here in the States, like I said earlier, everything's locked up or whatever for the most part. I still have a job to go to, but I've talked about it on Monday that I may consider taking up to 3 months off just to not go to work.
Probably wise, because you really don't want to get this. It's a terrible thing to.
Yeah, and from what I'm gathering, it varies by person as well. Some people who have more problems physically, it's going to affect them worse. Whereas somebody who has, maybe has a better health, they'll do better with it. So
yeah, but we see now in Sweden that people, even with good health and younger people, even they will get it, and a few passed away. So I'm a firm believer in the complete lockdown and self-isolation if you can.
Yeah, if you can, that's good. I've got some other questions I want to pull up here. Brian's talking about Praxair, brake press for wire, gas. Okay. I do not have Praxair that I know of. Let me see. There you go, Kev Chat. That's for you, Ricard. You're saying beautiful car.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing more on that car. I want to see updates on it. So Leonard is saying flux core is messy. He used that to weld on his quarter panel. Yeah. And okay, so he went and bought a welder for using gas. So that's good. And we have Jose says, hello, Ricard from Portugal. So,
Portugal, cool.
Yeah, this is interesting now that I've changed started at a newer time. The different people that we're getting on the live stream. So Brian says hi. And let's see. Okay, yeah, well, Tig, if you can do Tig, that's good. Let's see. Well, we have
I actually bought a TIG
you did?
to do some work on my car.
Oh, good.
Because it's my garage is in the basement in our house, and once I start to weld in here, it's well, sparks will fly when you MIG weld. So I will do some initial just spot welding with the TIG to get the panels together.
That's good. So we have a comment from Karsten. It says the Buick 67 is a Swedish car. Had a problem finding parts in Denmark. Can Ricard recommend a shop in Sweden that have parts for a Buick? There's a question.
Yeah, I think what he means is the car probably came from Sweden,
Yes.
but it's an American car. But recommend a shop. Yeah, there's a big one that's called Hansen Racing. Hansen Racing is a very good shop. They have lots of parts for many.
Maybe.
But I think there are specialized ones for Buick too. I think I can look it up.
Okay, he's looking for parts for a 67 Buick. So I don't know if they would have that or not.
Yeah, there would be some, like Hansen Racing is a Swedish company, but they import lots of stuff from the States. Mainly new stuff though. Yeah.
So maybe if Carson's asking that question, I don't know if you can type in the name that you're referring to or not in the comments. That might help out with him. So you can actually see what it is. Let me see what's. Yeah, Robert's saying his better half is still working. She has a trip to Pennsylvania today and back tomorrow. That's good. Yep. Kev chats on that. Yeah, there are plenty of people laid off. I've got family that are, unemployed at the moment. Yes, that's true. I see on the TV that's it's bad in Portugal. We're in an emergency state. Sorry, I think you're trying to say sorry for his typing. I think, and that's okay, Jose. You can. I understand you're having to use a different language to be on here, and I'm sure Portuguese is your primary language. So English is definitely more challenging, even for Ricard. I know he has to translate in his mind, I assume, what he wants to say to English.
Pretty much, Swedish is very foreign from the English language. So
yeah. Let's see. Yep, Nick, midday stream. Why not? If you haven't checked out Nick Pixel TV, check out his stuff as well. Hansen Racing is the answer that we're trying to get off to Karsten. Hansen Racing.
I don't have their web address, but if he just Google that, he'll find them.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so he said his son's car, he's living in Sweden. So that's interesting. Let's see. Oh, so we got I'm guessing that's thanks from Karsten.
Yeah. The Swedish and Danish languages are very much related. If I was to speak Swedish here, he would probably understand me.
Okay. So tack, is that's thanks?
Thanks, yes.
Okay. Is that how
we write it? We write it TACK, and the Danish write it TAK, like he did there. So very similar.
Now, how's that pronounced?
I think they say talk.
Talk.
We say tack. Talk.
Okay.
Well, Karsten will beat me up for trying to speak Danish. In Sweden, we say tack.
Yeah. There you go. Skip around the MIG. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to get in a hurry when you're MIG welding. You'll warp the metal for sure. Okay, so we have RJ. I don't know what that says.
Sweet brother.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's interesting. We're learning something here. Leonard says it's flux core water. I'd use the lowest setting while it's slow. It took time, but it did the job. Yep.
Wasn't there a guy that you had on the show there, Ted? Wasn't Ted doing the flex core? No, what was
I think Ted
he
used the flux core on his fastback. He did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not a fan of it myself. I'm used to the MIG with the gas, and I like the way it does the job. People use it, and that's fine. But I prefer MIG. It's just cleaner to me. I like that. Okay, Scott. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, some people don't like Fords, some people don't like Chevys, some don't like Dodge. So Leonard's trying to see if Brendan is here. I think in New Zealand, it would be very, very early in the morning in New Zealand. So I don't know that Brendan is up yet. Okay, so we have Robert saying talk is yes in Polish.
Polish. Oh, okay. Look at that.
So I don't know if that's, but we had talk was from Karsten.
Yeah, so that's thank you.
Yeah.
In Danish.
In Danish.
I hope.
So we're getting
confirm that.
we're getting information around the world right now. Okay, so Robert's going to his shop to see if he can get his Wi-Fi working in there. And if you haven't seen, Robert he had a Mustang Viewers Project video as well, and he had the one with the 5-bolt engine, had the 5 bolts on the back of the engine block. It was unique to the 64, I believe. It's gonna be hard to keep up with now because of all the Viewers Project videos that I've put out. I've got 10 out so far with updates. There's a couple more. And I have another one from a man named Trip that I've got to get put together. And then there's one more. I'm trying to remember who that one was from at the moment. Doesn't as you can guess, I get lots of emails. I get lots of stuff on Facebook. I get all kinds of stuff coming at me. And sometimes it's hard to keep up with everything. You know,
you're becoming famous now, Barry. That's your problem.
I guess I'm becoming, at least it's interesting. Like I said before, that here I am. You know, last week I've talked to Brendan in New Zealand. Here's Ricard in Sweden, and the areas of the country or the world that are connecting at this point. It's hard for me to imagine. You know, it's like, would you imagine that you would be having a conversation right now from your garage in Sweden with somebody in the United States? And,
oh, no, that's too weird. That's too weird.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, we're used to, my wife is from Canada, so we're having video calls with them all the time, but this is different now. This is this is broadcast globally. That's a different beast.
It is.
Actually, almost scary.
And you look back if you go back in time, I think one of the biggest worldwide productions in the early part of TV production, let's say, as far as a broadcast that could go around the world, was, I believe, a concert by Elvis Presley. Sometime, it might have been in the late 60s, early 70s. And if I remember correctly, it was like they had said his broadcast, which I think was from Hawaii, had like 1 billion people watching his broadcast, and here we are without any TV crew or nothing other than a computer sitting at our home, basically going around the world in the same manner. And back then, that was, for him, that was the biggest. I think that was one of the earliest huge, global broadcasts that was ever produced. So it was really interesting. Ricard, you've frozen up on me. So I'm going to have to, I'll pull Ricard off for the moment since he looks like he's frozen. So Karsten, so his own car is a 68 Mustang Coupe. Very cool. All right, Robert's out in the garage. Glad you're here, Robert. I don't know if looks like Ricard may have locked up on me. Scott says, my dad told me one time, believe in what you believe in. If people don't like them, bad word them. Yeah, I get it. Donald, 5-bolt, 65 and a half and older. Well, there you go. So you get a bell for that. If you want one, I know somebody who has one. He's on here right now. And I don't think he's going to use it. Let me see if, okay, Ricard's back.
Yeah, thrown out.
So we start talking about the modernization of the broadcasting around the world, and you froze up on me. Let's see, Dale. Has anybody replaced rear torque box and rails on a 65 Mustang having some issues? I'm sure it's been done. I have not done that specifically, so I don't have any reference to point to and say, look at this guy's work and know, this might give you an answer. But if somebody maybe wants to talk to Dale about that, see what's going on. Jose, yeah, MIG is much cleaner than Flux. You're right. Yeah, 3X Xena, the modern day ham radio. And I've forgotten what your name is. I know it's 3X Xena, but I can't remember everybody's actual name. I see something and I have to, there we go. So RJ, 14 January 1973, Hawaii. See, I knew it was Hawaii. I knew it was late 60s, early 70s, but I didn't know it was January 14th. But that was one of the biggest broadcasts ever in the history of the world. Oh, hey, look, Brendan is here. He showed up, so he must have gotten up. He's having his first coffee of the day. Leonard, first Mustang when Ford brought it out came with a 260 and a 5-bolt 289. Yeah, that 260 was a tiny little engine. Yeah. Well, thank you, Scott. I don't want to have to block you either. No room for bad words on here. Oh, we got Brian Hilling on here. And Brian has been in conversation with me a long time on the Facebook pages. He's got several 65 Mustangs, I think 65, 66 combination, one of which he had owned for a while, and then he sold it and then bought it back. So Brian is working on several Mustangs at the moment. So I don't know if Brendan wants to get on or not. I could send him a link, and we could see what it's like tomorrow in New Zealand.
Back to the future.
What's that?
Back to the future.
Back to the future. Exactly right. Let me see if I can. I don't know if he wants to join, and I'll send him a link. Wait.
You were saying something about the DeLoreans there. You were talking about the DeLoreans. That's the car they used in that show. Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. That's right. Okay, so I sent Robert an invite because he sent me an email. So I sent Robert an invite, and we're going to see how this goes because Robert is trying to operate out of his garage, and I know he was working on getting Wi-Fi out to his garage. So anyway, we'll see if he shows up. I sent him an invite as well. So Ricard,
yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so what else is going on at your place? I mean,
well, we're supposed to. I hope my boss is not on here, but we're supposed to work from home, and that's what I'm doing. But apparently, I spent a lot of time down in my garage here, and today I was working in my garden in our yard in the back. We're all set up. I do office work, so there's no problem for me to work from home. Oh, okay. There's a.
Well, now we have Robert too.
I'm here.
All right.
I have just enough signal with the door open, and it just works.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. This is great. So you're in Texas, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just northwest of Fort Worth.
Okay. You having good weather?
Yeah, it's almost 70 degrees, beautiful. Tomorrow's going to be even better. So that means I got to cut our grass. I got to load up the mower, take it to daughter's house, cut her grass.
Okay.
Lots of fun.
Yeah. Well, today here, it's actually kind of chilly in Georgia. I mean, and I say chilly, it's going to hit a high of like 60, which is pretty chilly.
Yeah, we were actually like 38, 37 this morning.
Wow.
So yeah, we had some pretty cool weather here for a couple of days, and then it warms right back up.
Yeah. Well, it's not really getting. I mean, it stayed chilly here all day. So Ricard must have a guest with him.
Yeah, it's my daughter.
She can say hi.
The champ.
She can say hi. That's okay.
You can say hi. You want to come say hi? Nah, she's shy. She's the champion who helped me with my FMX transmission there when the stupid color coded the springs that was to go in with the shift kit. She was.
Yeah, I remember you talking about her helping you out with the transmission. So.
Yeah, she does. She helped me with wiring too because I'm colorblind. So.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot about that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Out there.
We got a hand wave.
There's the hand. There's the magic hands.
There you go. So,
all right.
So are you having her involved with other things with the car as well, besides those?
No, that's what she's helped me with so far. I find the garage is not a place for her to be really good at.
Right.
When I do stuff that I think is safe, then it's okay.
Okay.
But she loves to ride in it though, so I better put it together.
Yeah.
She's now that I have the souped up engine there. At first she was a little scared, but then her standard comment is, "Go faster, Daddy, go faster."
Yeah. Well, if I remember, I think you had sent me I believe I sent you a sticker.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You sent me a picture of your car in front of a castle or something.
Yes, that's
Finspång?
the Siemens main office here. Yeah,
Finspång?
Finspång. You're very good.
I get a bell for that.
Oh yeah, you get 2 bells for that.
Yeah,
that's a good memory.
Well,
it's actually the castle is actually the main office for the company I work for.
Oh wow, well that's interesting.
In 1913, there was 2 brothers who came to Finspång. They came from Stockholm. They had invented a new type of steam turbine. And historically here in Finspång, we've been making cannons and guns. In the 1700s, we were the largest exporter of guns in the world, like cannons. Yeah.
Interesting.
So in 1913, those brothers, they came here and they bought some workshops, and along with the workshops was the castle, because that was part of the industry. And ever since, the company has been sold, but the castle is always part of the deal.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool.
So I know Robert's here, and what have you done to your car recently? Anything?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I was starting to fall asleep there for a second.
Okay.
I was listening to Ricard, and it just
okay. Sorry.
Well, I put the passenger door back on. You can kind of see behind me there.
Right.
I put that door back on. I did a little straightening on that. I worked on the driver's door. It's hanging on there. It's not straight, but it's between that, working on stuff on the house. It's just back and forth. And then sometimes it's like, I just don't want to do it.
Well, I can relate to that. Even I get to that point where I'm like, I'm not going to work on anything today.
Yeah. It was kind of when this all started. It was like, you're gung ho. It's like, okay, get this done, get that done, get that done, and then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, and you put in those the inner rockers for the convertible.
Yeah,
well.
I put I figured I had to cut the frame rails off, so they're gone. And the driver's side already had to do some of the floor pans. So it's like, well, might as well just open it up, cut the floor, slide those in, weld them on, and do both sides at the same time. You're in there It's not that big a deal to add. So the only thing I'll do different was you'll see everybody in the pictures, they'll drill holes in the new part and weld it to the existing. Don't do that. Do it the other way. Drill the existing, because it's a lot easier to weld from the outside of the car than it is the inside of the car. Because you're welding to a thicker piece, which your new piece is thicker to start with, and just the angles of trying to get the torch in there and trying to plug weld all that would be so much easier from outside the car versus dealing with the floor pan in the way. And
so what you're implying is the pinch weld at the bottom of the rocker.
Mm-hmm.
You're drilling from the outside through into that material.
That's the better way to do it. Yes.
And
I did it I took the new one and drilled the holes in that, slid it in. Yeah, the way I did it was the hard way to do it, because the floor pan, when you're underneath on the the inside, you've got that little notch, little corner to get around, and then when you're doing it the top side, you're having to bend over, lean over, everything's upside down. It would have just been a lot easier to drill the existing pinch welds and plug weld to the new part.
Now, when you're saying that, though, you're only talking about the bottom flange.
Well, yeah, the bottom, but I do both of them that way. I would do both of them, just because you're doing everything from the outside of the car. It would just be easier.
Well, I could see that. The only difficulty I see is that little channel where you would have where the pinch weld is in the rocker.
Yeah,
you'd have to drill it from the inside and then weld it from the outside.
Exactly.
So you kind of got to lay out a little map and get it where you want it to go.
Yeah, and it's one of those you do have more accessibility welding drilling the holes in the new part to go to the existing body. You do have more accessibility on the top half, but unless you're laying inside the car, it's kind of a pain, because you're bending over from standing outside the car and making a big U-turn out of yourself trying to reach around and weld back towards yourself. So I mean, it'll all work in the end. And you put a few seam welds here and there if you're not sure. Just little extra is not going to hurt. Right.
Yeah. Like I said, lay out a little map to where you can have an idea. Because I know that I'm just thinking about it with the logistics of, you can't do all of them you have to do some from the inside.
Exactly, especially on the front. Front, you have to. Some of them are both directions of the front. It just depends on where it is.
I guess you saw that Ricard from Leonard.
Yeah, I saw that from Leonard. I didn't want to interrupt.
But also, essentially, when you add those convertibles, you're adding another inner rocker, because the flat piece is already attached to the new one. So essentially, you're getting two of the flat panels, the inside one, and then the outside. So by the time you get that all done, it's going to be pretty stiff. It's going to add quite a bit, but I'm still going to do some sort of subframe connectors or something. Just, I'd rather overkill it.
Right. I agree. I don't have any problem with that. I've seen some, I think it was Ted. I forget what company he used or what company his kit was from, but I kind of like what he had on a 68. The way that setup looked.
Oh yep. I can't remember who. Yeah, I've seen it. The name just, I'm bad with names.
Yeah, I want to say CPP, but I don't know if it was CPP. I don't remember exactly.
No, I could look it up and figure it out. But yeah, I've seen it before. Yeah, I like that system. Yeah,
it seemed like a good idea. And the only one I really dealt with directly is the TCI stuff that I have in the Brooklyn Pony.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I think if it was an original car, if it was all original underbody and everything like that, as I've shown in the videos, it would have fit.
Mm-hmm.
It would have fit much better. But being that it's a Dynacorn where they have to maybe modify some of the dimensions so it's not a direct copy, let's say, that's where it comes into play and becomes more difficult in trying to make stuff fit.
Some of the problems you had, like on the rear frame rails with that kit, makes me wonder if those frame rails were originally made as just slip-on replacements. Like they used to sell, where you just slip it on top of the old ones, you'd weld it in place. Maybe that was the idea. I don't know. Since they were a little bit bigger, it was kind of where I was going with that.
Well, I could see your point on that. But the difficulty with that is, I think I measured, and like the front, it was fat, and then it actually got down to the right dimension in the rear.
Yeah, I
Way
remember
down.
that now. Yeah.
So it was just some weird, and whatever reason they did that, I don't know, but it's just
And a lot of that just could be due to what they have for stamping equipment, and they know what they can get out of it, and just that that's what they got to do in order to make it work.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. Okay, we have Scott talking about trains and the fact that a lot of those old trains are gone, and so GM guy. Sorry, I can't remember. I can't connect everybody a name with their name on the YouTube channel. I try. There's a few that I can recognize pretty quick, but there's several that
That's all right. I'm bad with names. I've had people come up to me in stores and have a conversation with me, and I haven't the foggiest clue who they are. I just be nice, and a few days later, I'll finally remember who they are.
All right, so I got GM guy. He's John. See, that's the difficulty, is trying to make that connection. Yeah, I get a lot of comments, and I've had it several times where I've been in a restaurant or out somewhere, and my wife can attest to this. My kids were there, where people will come up to me and ask me if I'm Tom Hanks, because we have a similar feature from like here up. We look somewhat similar in our appearance, with a crease in the forehead and whatever. And I laugh about that, because I'm like, no, I'm not Tom Hanks. But I probably had over the years at least 40 occasions where somebody has asked me if I was Tom Hanks.
When I was younger, people used to tell me I look kind of like the guy in Princess Bride. Of course, there was
has to be the right angle, though, right?
Yeah. That was a few years ago too.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: when I was a lot younger, I looked like, what is it, Don Johnson from Miami Vice.
Mm-hmm.
I had I looked a lot more like him than I look like Tom Hanks. But,
That's cool.
I'll take it whatever I can get. But like you're saying, the conversations. I've had conversations with a lot of people who they'll say, you look familiar, but it's not because of YouTube or anything like that. It's just because there's a lot of people in my age bracket who have a similar beard and, just similar look. But they'll say that as well. So.
Yeah, speaking of that, you see, I've been shaving mine off, and I didn't think I'd fit in because everybody else has had a beard. So I can't stand having that stuff on my face anymore.
Well, I won't say this has to stay.
I'll break in here, Barry.
Yeah.
It's bedtime here for me.
Okay.
I promise you there'll be an update on my car once I start welding it. I'm very meticulous, so there'll be a lot of measuring and fiddling and fitting and doing stuff here first. But it'll come.
Okay. Very
Ricard,
good.
that's the way mine has been. I have put mine together, taken it apart dozens of times.
Yeah.
And it's just every time it gets a little better every time. And then finally it's nice when you can actually weld something and leave it there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I spent last weekend, the whole weekend, Saturday, Sunday, putting it all up, mocking it up. I used the small screws to screw it together. I saw that on some channel. Someone was doing that. It's pretty good. And just throwing it up there, and it looked nice, and started measuring. I threw the fenders on, and then take it apart, change some stuff, and put it back together the whole weekend. And I'm getting closer, I have to say, but there is still some way to go before the welder will hit it.
Yep.
So, all right. Thanks, Barry, for having me on. And
glad you were here. And we'll
have a good day, and good day to all the guys on here.
Yep.
See you soon again.
All right. We'll see you.
See you later.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye. Okay, Robert. Now it's just you.
Uh-oh.
No pressure.
No, I'm full of useless information.
Well, you said you worked for GM. You had a lot of GM knowledge.
I used to sell brake kits for 78 to 87 GMG bodies, big 12-inch brake kits. I would do the entire. It would be a kit. Spindles. I had the upper control arms made. They were kind of similar to a Global West and kind of others, but far enough different that you didn't have an issue. But sold quite a few of those kits and a lot of parts and pieces at the time. Just I had one. That's kind of what I got into, and there's a lot of information there, and part numbers still roaming around in my mind.
I'm sure. Well, but you sold them as something you sold individually as a kit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a business doing that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that was, I did more of the brake kits than I did other. Yeah. I got a few other parts and pieces, but at the time there just wasn't much available, and it was kind of a pain in the butt to get enough to sell. To small quantities.
Right. Okay. All right. Jose's leaving us. He's in Portugal, so we'll say goodbye or adios. I don't know what you say, so we'll say that to. Sorry, I don't know what the proper wording is. So Brian, if someone asked me if I was Tom Hanks, I'd have to have some fun with that. Yeah. There's been a couple times I've considered doing that, but it just didn't happen to to work out. All right, so John's been pretty busy, and wait, wheels and hubs painted new chrome lug nuts. What? Okay, I don't know. All right, yeah, I don't know what year your Monte Carlo is. I was looking back through some old videos that I had, and like I said on Monday, Dave Bertain asked me a question about the origination of the channel and stuff like that. And they, we were trying to promote the body shop back then that we had. Mm-hmm. And so I did a video on, I think it's an 88 Monte Carlo SS. It's on the channel still. And it was a really sharp car. And we had repainted that thing. But it was black with the stripes and, all the SS badging and stuff. So I don't know if that's what John is working on, but that was I like that car. It wasn't an Aero Coupe,
Speaking of Aero Coupes, a friend of mine, he was in Salt Lake City, and he's passed away. Oh, geez, probably 10 years ago now. He had bought, it was an 86, or I don't remember if it was an 86 or 87 Aero Coupe. He bought it from a pawn shop there. He paid a couple $100 for it, started working on it, and he ended up actually selling it to a friend of mine in Wichita Falls, which I went up there for a couple days, many years ago, and helped him work on that. And that was a rust bucket. Yeah. That was a rust bucket. He still got it, and it's an Aero Coupe, so you got to make it work. The problem is you can't take the rear glass out because the seal for the rear glass was different on both years, and it is extremely hard to get.
Really? Well, I know. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the comments on the side as well. I hope I typed that in right. They wanted me to send my email, so I posted my email. Yeah, I know the Aero Coupe. I mean, that was a modification done at a specialty shop. Those weren't factory made.
The 2 years were factory made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were actually factory made. But the first 86, there was only the bare minimum for NASCAR, from what I remember. Okay. It's been a while. And right. in 87, there were more made. So I think his is an 87. But other than that, it was pretty much, other than that rear glass, it was just a Monte Carlo SS. There really wasn't any difference with it.
Well, I know it had a shortened deck lid. Obviously the package tray had to get moved back and stuff like that. Or lengthened or whatever. Yeah,
other than the modifications for the body for that back there, it was just regular. Right.
It was just unique. It was just unique. It's kind of like if you find, what's the Pontiac version? They had a Pontiac version as well. I don't know what they called it. Those are even more rare. Yeah. I mean, I've seen I think 2 in my lifetime of the Pontiac version.
Kind of like if you remember the 70s Caprices, that they kind of did the same thing with the rear glass on those. Yeah. Some that had a flat glass, and some that had an Aero Coupe type glass in the back. I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Well, my buddy in high school, that was his first car. He drove. Cool. I think it was a '78 Impala, that had the tapered back glass on it. I
Mhm.
remember that specifically because when the Aero Coupe started coming out, I was like, well, that's the same as the Impala, you know. But yeah, that was a cool car, and it was a
Mhm.
two-door hardtop, silver with red interior.
Oh wow.
And so long gone, it rusted apart. That was in Pennsylvania. So, but I know the Pontiacs, they're just, you know, super rare to
2
find.
plus 2. It was the Pontiac 2+2. If I
Yeah, there we
remember
go.
correct.
'Cause that's where GM.
Yeah, yep, there it is.
John-
I wasn't even reading that. It is just, yeah, give it a while and it comes to me.
Yeah, so John got the bell for that.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. He makes upholstery and custom parts for 83 to 88 SS mail order online. Interesting. Okay. So that, I don't know what kind of custom parts you make, but that could be interesting. A guy made a Grand National Aero Coupe. People were furious. So he took a Buick Grand National and converted it into an Aero Coupe.
Yeah. I will say the Grand National, the guys that have taken El Caminos and putting the Grand National doors and front end and interior in, GM should have sold those from the factory. It looks really good when that conversion is done right.
Really?
It's one of those, they should have sold it.
So they're taking now say that again. They're taking what now?
The nice thing, the GM on those G bodies, the Grand Nationals, the Pontiacs, all those, you know, the same basic frame, same basic body. You can take the doors. You can take the doors, the front clip, and it all bolts on. Now there's a little massaging to do at the end of the door where the door to the quarter comes in, but the inside of the door is the same piece. So everything just bolts into place. You can take the dashboard interior out of any 78 to 88 G body and fit it into another because it's the same platform. So
Really?
everything is interchangeable. There were things like the radiator support on the 78, 79. I think it was the Buicks. They had the radiator support was huge on those things. Well, they made an aluminum one for those cars. So if you find one that has a big A stamped into it, it's made out of aluminum. It's worth a few bucks. And then there's all sorts of bracing and stuff that was done on the Pontiacs and some of the Oldsmobiles. And you can buy all those bits and pieces and then, you know, piece together and, you know, reinforce whatever yours is with all kinds of factory parts.
That does sound interesting. You know, bringing that up makes me think of an idea that I had that I can't say I've seen anybody do it, but I've had this idea for years. I want to take, if I remember how I had it in my mind, let's say an 81 Malibu wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to take the Monty SS front clip. The nose, but I want to put the doors. I want to make it a Nomad. So what I want to do is take the doors from the Monty SS, put those on the wagon, move the B-pillar, get rid of the back door, and make a Nomad. And I
don't see why you couldn't do that. The only thing I will say is one of the things with the Monte Carlo is, and this goes back to the original one, is that they're a little wider. The nose on the Monte Carlo SS is about 2 inches wider than all the rest of the G bodies.
Right.
But if you're using the fenders and everything else and the inline, I don't see why that wouldn't work for what you want to do. I mean, I think it looked pretty cool actually.
See, that's what I want to do though, is take the wagon and convert it. I wanted to call it a Nomad Carlo. To where the Monty SS nose, doors, move the B-pillar, and then even the quarters. Take the Monty quarters and blend them in to where it looks like it's a Monte Carlo wagon. Yeah,
because the A-pillars wouldn't be any different at all, so the doors would just bolt right up.
That would be awesome.
I don't see that being an issue. Sounds like a pretty good project to me.
I think I would.
I don't see any. Yeah, I don't see any huge issues. You know, moving B-pillar, but you know, everything else in the front, I don't see why it wouldn't just work.
That's encouraging, but I don't know if I ever get a chance to get to it. So John says GSI Interiors is his company, I guess. That
I have to look at that.
Yeah. So I mean, John, if you want to post a link, if it'll let you do it, I'll let you do it. That's good information to have and share. So let me see. I got to back up here. What else do we have? Okay, so Leonard, he's telling Brendan he's got a 400 out of a 78 Lincoln. Okay. So they got a little side going on. That's okay. That's good. I think Brendan was talking to Scott about his, he was trying to build a model kit. He wants to build a model kit of a Dodge, a Dodge truck. Yeah. So, yeah. Go on the live stream, Leonard. I've tried before to get him on here, but I don't know if he'll do it. Yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to do call it Nomad Carlo.
I think that would be a really cool looking car, and I don't think it would be that difficult to do.
Yeah.
Again, it's sourcing parts more than it is anything else.
Yeah.
So I don't really see any major issues because moving the B pillar is going to be a pain in the butt anyway. So you get it. Well, no, yeah, exactly. It's a matter of it's like if you've got the Monte Carlo to take parts off of, to cut pieces off of the body.
Right.
If you got it all there, and it's just a little bit of figuring out, here and there at the back. But I don't see why that wouldn't be too hard of a project. But getting a good wagon is the hard part.
Well, I can find a good wagon.
Oh, okay.
I can. But I'm telling you, I've had this in my mind. If my neighbor was on the chat right now, I've talked to him about this for like, I know 20 years. I've had that vision in my mind for at least 20 years that I wanted to build that kind of car. But I have other things to do, so I don't know if I'll. Ever
and then that's two project cars you got to have there to merge into one, and stuff. It adds up after a while.
Yeah, but I still, if I could get it worked out, I'd do it. Let's see. Let's. Okay, so Scott's trying to build this model kit. I don't know if he's going to do it on YouTube or not. Might be interesting to watch.
I have a closet full of model kits that I don't know what I'm going to do with.
I can't hit that bell enough to let you know how many model kits I have in my closet.
What reminds me, actually, you were talking about Studebakers earlier.
Yes.
And the reason, because my dad and I, when we used to go to the swap meets, we'd buy model kits and stuff like that. The first year that the Peyton swap meet had moved to Texas Motor Speedway, they put it inside the track. The turnout was really bad, but there was a Nash sitting there, little bitty Nash, just sitting there. And we're both walking up to this thing. It's like it's kind of beige color. It's like it's kind of plain. It's like but it was nicely done. It was a nice looking car. We're walking up to this thing, looking at it, and it's like, man, this is really nice. We walk over the side. We're looking inside the car. Looks great. Walk around to the front. And we're both staring at the engine. It's like, this car's actually running. It was running that quiet and that smooth. It's like we didn't even know the thing was running.
Yeah.
And it was just, the guy was wanting something like $4,000 for it at the time. This would have been 90. Oh shoot, I could have to look it up. I could figure it out, but it was in the, I want to say late 90s or so. And it was one of those. It's just like, yeah, we should have bought the car. Yeah. It was that nice.
Well, one of the model kits that I want, I doubt you're going to have one of these, but one of the model kits that I want it's a 50, I believe it's a 53 Studebaker Commander that was built into a drag car.
Yep.
Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
It was called Miss Deal.
Yeah.
MISS Deal.
There used to be quite a few guys that would show up to the swap meets and have hundreds of model kits. And it was just, you go through, and that's where you'd learn about all the ones that you've never heard of, never seen before. Right. And there were some pretty cool kits. And I was like, yeah, I'm not buying those. I'm never going to put them together.
Right. Well, that's why I am. I'm not going to I have some model kits that are worth over $100 because it's like I have the 72 Chevy C10 pickup. Well, they came in, they're white and yellow, and I have two of those that are unopened. But they are, I'll never build them. They'll just sit in my closet. until I decided to do something else with them.
I figured it'd be one of those that just one of these days is just like, at the point where, I'll put them all on eBay, get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Well, the Studebaker, my brother had built model kits. I built model kits, and my brother had built this one called Miss Deal, and it was a drag car, and I think it had a straight axle in the front, and I remember it because it was blue and had Miss Deal on the side, and then it had at the back for a wheelie bar or a wheelie resistant type of thing. It had a foot. It had a metal rod sticking out, and it had one of those like gas pedal feet that you would find. That was, that car just stands out in my mind.
Speaking of the pedal, a friend of mine on his El Camino, he's a drummer, so his gas pedal is a drum pedal.
Okay.
He replaced with a drum pedal. And first time I saw that, I was like, okay, my foot is a little too big to drive this now.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, you got some planes flying over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a little single engine, but we're pretty much under the approach to Carswell Air Force Base. So, a lot of military traffic.
Well, there you go. Leonard builds oil-filled auto car big rigs. That's a lot of information. I'm not sure. Oh, Auto Car is a truck company. So he builds, I remember that. So he builds that version of big rigs. Brendan found a 52 Ford custom line for sale in New Zealand, imported from the U.S. 4 years ago, complied a new warrant and flathead V8. Wow, $39,500. That's a lot of money.
I couldn't afford to be a car guy there.
No. No Japanese were coming overhead.
I grew up in Hawaii.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Yeah, and just those model kits were always just a big part of my life. One of my first model kits that I built was a 73 Mach 1. I remember just that big back end of that car. I don't even know where it came from, but it's one of those that I used to have. I still have some model kits that I built from when I was a kid. Of course, a lot of them have fallen apart now because of the glue, whatever. They're in boxes somewhere. And I actually bought from a guy on Facebook two model kits that were built, or two models that were built, and I bought them because they were just so cool. One of them is if I remember, it's a 66 like GTO or Le Mans or something, but it's a drag car, and the engine is in where the front seat is, and the driver sits in the back. And it says Hurst on it. It was a Hurst model kit for this.
Oh,
it was really cool.
Yeah. I've seen some other ones. The Hurst stuff they did more than that. They did have some others like that. I want to say they had it's a Pontiac or a Bonneville or a Buick. There was some odd car that was one of those that was done that way as well.
Right. And I bought that, and then he had a pickup truck that was a 67 or 68 Chevy long bed that was in great shape. It's all intact, had the buddy bucket seats in it and everything. So I bought that one. They're both sitting on my desk in the house, and I won't bring them out here because they'll get knocked apart.
A buddy of mine had bought a 67 short bed to restore probably 15 years ago. Bought it from a welder. When we went to work on it, I went over to he had a storage facility at the time. He had it stored there. We were going to pull the whole front end off, strip the frame down, work on all that stuff. Come to find out, this guy didn't like bolts and nuts. The door hinges, the doors, the fenders, everything was welded.
Oh man.
Every last thing that would have been bolted was welded. And we ended up just cutting it all off, and he just found replacements for everything because it wasn't worth fixing. It was stick welded on top of that. So it was butchered.
Yeah.
But it was a cool truck when he was done with it.
Well, there's another 4.4 short first olds. Yeah. Yeah, this model kit I have though, it's like I said, it's a Pontiac, and the engine is pushed all the way back under the dash or behind the dash. It's a really kind of a neat model kit.
Well, that reminds me of if you ever build your Nomad,
Yeah.
what you get a shifter, get a lightning rods shifter for it. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. And in the Hurst Olds, they had a lightning rod shifter on those cars. It was a automatic, but it had 3 shift levers.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
you could, yeah. If you can find one of those, grab it, because they are worth a fortune if they're in good shape. And I think last I checked, they will still rebuild them. They still have the parts to rebuild the shifter.
I've seen those. I remember those in production cars.
And it was it's one of those you could put it in drive, or you could put it in I forget it. It was weird instructions. It's been a long time, and then you can manually shift it through with the other levers.
Right, you could pull it through, and it would feel like you were racing. But it just kind of gave me a vision of years ago. I had a little car. It was an '83 Dodge Colt. Okay, which is again about that big, but it had a high and low range. It had a 4-speed transmission, and then it had a lever on the side for high and low range, to where you could change the basically. I guess the concept was, instead of having a 5th gear, you could have 4 low gears or 4 kind of higher gears, a little bit.
It's almost like a 2-speed rear end kind of thing.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But what I did, I would freak people out because I would split shift my little Dodge Colt. I'd go to 1st gear low, and then pull it into high, and then go back to low in 2nd gear, and then 3rd, and then 4th. And you would feel like that much of a difference. It really didn't matter.
Well, I was on a tour bus one time in Mexico, and and he's sitting there shifting through it, and he's got the switch on the shifter for the rear end.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here wondering, it's like, okay, I'm feeling so little of a difference. Why? Yeah. There was 2 different ones of those lightning rod shifters. There was a 3 and a 4 lever one. Yep.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen either one in a long time.
Yep. Yeah, Lenko has a trans like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a cool looking shifter. It was, it'd just be something to put in there. It's just cool looking.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely draws your eye. You're not like, the heck is that?
Yeah, and then the things I regret selling was things like the 8.5-inch rear end I used to have for G body. I had one of those, and I talked to a guy now, and he said their guy's paying $2,000 plus for them now, and I'm like, yeah, I wish I still had it. Yeah, because all the stock ones were 7.5, except for the early Hurst Olds and 442, which had the 8.5, which is equivalent to like a 12-bolt, almost a 12-bolt Chevy rear end.
Oh, okay.
So it would take whatever you'd want to put at it, but they are extremely hard to find.
Yeah.
And I sold mine a long time ago, but oh well, it is what it is.
Well, speaking of oddball rear ends, I think I've shown it in the video that I did when I rebuilt the rear end in the Jade Mustang. It's a Ford 9-inch, but it's an oddball Ford 9-inch. And what's really crazy about it is it's out of like a 59 Mercury wagon. And so the reason for that, what I found out from the guy that put it in, or I got the car from, he said that was an old hot rodder thing. You could put in that rear end out of that 59 or 58, whatever Mercury station wagon, and it was narrower than a standard Ford 9-inch. So I don't know what the dimensions are. I can't quote the dimensions, but let's just say it was 72 inches, whatever is a factory dimension. This thing was actually like 68.5.
Wow.
Some weird combination. So in effect, you could put it was a factory narrow rear end. So you could put wider wheels under, fatten it up under the back. Now, the reason I had to research this because that car had a mini spool in it. So it had basically a straight axle in it. And I had to get that mini spool out. And so when I started doing some research, I found out that this, the rear end has like a W on the chunk or something. I think it might say WAR or some WAR or some odd configuration. But anyway, it wasn't a nodular rear end. It wasn't as strong as the later versions, but it would hold up to normal type stuff. So the rear end though, that's in it, this guy has has this narrowed rear end, but on each side it's got probably 1.25 inch spacers to push the axle back out. So it's kind of pointless, unless you're going to have a special wheel to use it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's just made like, okay, put some tubs in the car now. Put some mini tubs in there.
You in effect you could, yeah.
But those 7.5 inch rear ends that were in the GMG bodies, those things will hold up to 1,000 horsepower as long as you didn't get traction.
Okay.
As long as you don't get traction, they'll hold up to anything.
Yeah.
You get traction, they break.
Okay, so here's Brendan chiming in. Mitsubishi Mirage, manual gearbox with a separate high-low shifter also. Yep. Yeah. It was definitely a Mitsubishi car. In fact, that car, honestly, my dad had got it, from the insurance company. It was wrecked. It was hitting the rear end. The whole right rear was smashed, and that was the first collision job that I did where I drove the car afterwards. Like, I took that, I let's say de-seamed or unseamed all the flanges and took off the back of the car, or the back 2/3 of the car, and I sectioned in a whole new piece from another car. And the thing drove like a champ. I mean, it got great mileage, had no issues with it, but that was one of the first things that I'd redone like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's been my experience on the 12-bolt rear ends as well.
Yeah. Okay, so Scott's gonna be working on a Franken truck of his own kind of build and put in a 2-speed rear, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, I like those gear vendors units. Those are nice.
Yeah, 9-inch from late 50s wagons and rancheros. Yep, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about the rancheros, but I'll give you a bell for that.
Yeah, because wagon and ranchero share a lot of parts together, from what I remember.
Yep. But anyway, that was a cool little car that I had, and the rear end stuff. There's all kinds of information on these rear ends for various models. Like I had those 2 little Bantam Roadsters, and one of them had a Buick rear end. It was like huge.
Yep.
It was a monster. And then the other one that I sold, and maybe somebody can relate to this. The guy that I sold it to, who's a big time drag racer, he knows all about this stuff. He was telling me that it was like an early version Ford 9-inch, which I don't know what the difference is, but he was implying that it wasn't a Buick, the second car that I had, that it was like a bigger Ford rear end or some sort. I don't know. I just took his word for it because I didn't really know.
There's, over the years, there's just been a lot of oddities here and there of all the car companies. There's always been those odd little things here and there. And, some of them turned out to be, it was like, yeah, that's what you want, or that's, stay away from it.
Well, that's kind of how that rear end is in a Mustang. From what I read, it was like, don't build this if you're going to be, hammering on it all the time. It's not going to hold up. But I'm not going to be out hot dogging the car. I hope, at least not.
Yeah. Because mine, I plan on just basically taking a Ford Explorer, and it's going to be a donor vehicle. Rear ends coming out of it, engine, transmission coming out of it, and some of the drive. If you get the drive shaft, I believe it was out of the. Oh shoot! It may have been the 6-cylinder or the 4-wheel drive. I forget which. It's aluminum, and you can have it shortened to fit the Mustang, and it's a good cheap way to get an aluminum shaft.
Right. And
it just there's so many donor parts off of those things that fit.
Now, what are the dimensions though? Is it a bigger shaft?
I think it's a slightly larger. It can be a little larger diameter shaft. The rear end, you have to shorten one side of it. I forget which. Basically, what you do is shorten one axle tube, and then you take another short axle from another rear end, put that in there, and that centers up. Yeah, it centers the pumpkin in the middle of it, and it basically just fits. And then you get disc brakes, you get posi traction, you get a good ratio, and those things are dirt cheap in junkyards. I mean, $100 or less, you can grab one out of the yard and then grab another axle, and then just shorten it up.
Now, I wonder
It's pretty common.
How hard it is to get that shortened if you have to take it to a machine shop or something.
The friend of mine locally, he had a buddy of his do it, and I think he charged him like 150, $200 or something like that. And I've seen other guys actually grind out where the plug welds are in the pumpkin, the front and back, where the pipe is plug welded into the pumpkin. Right. I've seen guys grind that out and then use hydraulic puller and pull the tube out, cut the tube off, slide it back in, and then weld up those plug welds again. Which I like that system. It's just not sure on my ability to weld the cast to the to the steel pipe, like they did originally.
Right.
That would be my issue with that.
Yeah. Like Kev said, let's see. Oh, Donald, 9-inch from late. Oh, okay, we said that.
Yeah, and a Ford 9-inch is, I don't care what car company you are the favorite of. The Ford 9-inch is hard to beat for durability, availability. The only thing I don't like is the pinion's a little higher. So in some vehicles, you may end up with pinion angle issues, and you get a little more friction. There's a little more parasitic drag on the Ford 9-inch because of the placement of the pinion. But therein lies, you make up for that in strength of the rear end.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's funny. I did a video years ago on the Suburban where I fixed the spider gears, and you look at how a GM rear end is built versus the Ford rear end, and it's kind of you kind of like, how does this work? Because like the GM is pretty simple to look at the C-clips and the idea that it keeps the axle in there. And then you look at the Ford, you're like, well, how does this stay together?
Yeah. And then in later years, Ford went to a C-clip on a lot of their rear ends as well.
Yeah.
And now, the thing is at racetracks, they always say, you want to run C-clip eliminators and, because, they say C-clips break, but a friend of mine, his dad and his grandfather, had Ford trucks. And I can't tell you how many of those that I saw where the axle departed the truck and came out through the fender, because it was the ball bearings holding it in. Yeah. That's all that holds it in is the ball bearings. And when they wear out a little bit, they get sloppy, especially in the back of a truck. And it just kind of goes out and tears up the fender.
Right.
Or the quarter, I'm sorry.
Let's see, 2,000 by here. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Wow. Take a 0 off of that, and you can easily get one for that here.
I don't know about that. $200?
No, I'm in Texas, so.
Oh yeah.
We had there. Yeah, you can go to. If Pate happens this year in October, that it is. I think it's actually the second largest in the country. But let's put it this way: you get to the point where we will go to it. We will walk about 8 miles on my pedometer. And after about 8 miles, it's like, okay, we're done. We're going to go get lunch and we'll go home. And we still haven't done the entire thing. And there's just so much stuff that shows up. And there's a lot of, it ends up being a lot of competition to sell parts.
Yeah. Yeah. Kev chat, C30, I think somebody may have put him in timeout. Sometimes whenever you get, repeated person just throwing out more and more stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of takes away from everybody else trying to have the conversation. Yeah. So nothing personal. One of my mods may have put him in timeout for that. So just trying to keep it to where everybody can have a say in the conversation and not be dominated by one individual. So nothing personal. It probably has a few minutes. So just know that, if one of the mods is watching and sees a bunch of stuff going on, it may just happen. So, C-clips in a 67 C10. Yeah. Because GM is very, they like their C-clips. But
they're good and bad. There are some things about, you know, with the Ford system with the bearing back there. You know, it's nice. It's like, oh well, I can just a couple bolts and I can slide this thing right out. You know,
yeah,
to work on the axle. It is. You know, I see pros and cons to both of them.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And what I think one of the comments I got when I changed out their spider gears was, of course, I live in Georgia, where you know there's not much rust. There's everything's in pretty good shape. But the guy said he fought with getting that seat clip out for like an hour. He said he could not get the axle to go in far enough to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And when I did it, I just laid it underneath there. I hooked my foot on it.
Uh-huh.
I just pulled my toes against it, and it came right over. And I took a magnet, pulled it out, and he was like, I can't believe that, you know.
Yeah, and it's normally when I've done them, that's the way it's been too. And the only trouble I'll have is the stupid little bolt that they use to hold the pin in. The head of that is very small, and it is very soft steel.
Yeah.
And that's why I've learned, it's like if I do anything with the rear end, I buy a brand new bolt and I put a new one in when I'm done with it, because I just don't trust that going in there tight enough, because even just with a wrench, they will strip out.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's to keep you from over tightening it in the first place.
Probably. And I think the one I did had it may have been a 12 bolt or a 12 point, because I know the old ones, they would have a square. You could have a square point. So it may have been that. I think it is a 12 point. But all right, we have Tim. I haven't seen Tim before. He's missing his 68 fastback. Yeah. I know where there's one at that I may try to get my hands on at some point in time. I guess the stars have to line up just right for me to get hold of that one.
Well, my 66, the friend of mine, his mother that bought it, she actually bought it from a high school. And she bought it from the high school that she worked at, and it was going to be the one of the project cars for the school.
Yeah.
They had gotten a hold of a fastback. So so she saw that, and she always wanted a Mustang. So, they said, yeah, we're going to do the fastback, and said, we're going to sell the coupe. So she bought the coupe from them.
Oh, okay.
And then, so that's how she ended up with it. And somewhere in the early 90s. So forget, it's been a long time. But,
I've had a couple different people come up to me. I had a coworker tell me that he knows there's a 67 fastback sitting in this woman's driveway that's been falling, just sitting there. And I've tried to make contact with her. I've actually called her, and she never answered the phone. So I was just like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't, I can't like go to her house and say, hey, I want your car.
And it's like, there's another Mustang almost directly behind me. Kind of go up from where I'm sitting. It is about 100 feet from where I'm sitting,
right?
Maybe a little more than that. And it's neighbor back behind. Older couple. You wave and say hi. We don't really. But it's covered up. And one of these days, I need to catch her out there. Ask her. What is it? You get a look at it. What is it? You want to sell it? You never know. It might be something really good, but I just can't. I know it's a Mustang, but other than that, I've never seen enough of it from being covered up to know what it is.
Yeah. Well, like this one, that's a 68 fastback that he has all the parts for it. And it's a stick shift car. I actually have, there's an interior shot. I mean, it's got a shifter in it. I don't know, I can't tell exactly it was all locked up, so I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
But it's got a manual transmission, and I have the VIN number, but I'm not going to share the VIN number. And I mean, it's actually not bad. It looks rough, and of course, it's green, or was green, but
it's something to start with.
Oh, it's a lot to start with.
That's the thing is just these days with a fastback, if you have something, you just have to have something to start with. It's either that or build it from scratch.
You look at stuff like, here's the kick panels. They're solid.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole car is it would be a great builder. And of course, I look in his in his shop. I don't know what year it is. It's like a 31 Model A truck.
Oh, nice.
Bunch of parts sitting on it. I think it's 31. I don't know for sure. I couldn't get all the way in there. But anyway, I know there's a 68 sitting, and hopefully I can figure out a way to get in there.
It's funny you talk about that Model A truck. The friend of mine in Utah, he bought one years ago. The one that he passed away, but he bought one years ago, and I flew out there. I would say about 10 years ago. I flew out there, stayed with him for about a week. We went to car shows. Salt Lake City is a great place for car shows. Rat rods, all sorts of cool stuff there. And we went to car shows. We were working on his getting his Model A truck going. We finally got it running enough and cleaned out the tank enough. We had to redo some of the seals on the rear end. We got it running enough that he was driving down the street and it was just backfiring and popping and it was noisy. It took a few starts to get it back, but the smile on his face was worth it.
Yeah.
And what's cool is now that car is part of he did a lot with the Land Speed record guys out there. He would take pictures and he was involved with some of the groups, and that truck is now part of the Target 550 crew of their vehicles to use.
Oh, really? I think you're starting to lock up now. You're sort of there.
Is what try get to use it.
There you are. You're back.
Was that me or you?
Oh, it showed you locked up. So
okay, yeah. It's like I said. I've got just barely enough Wi-Fi. I'm surprised it's working as well as it is.
Yeah.
Is the picture quality decent and everything?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, cool. Because in the future I can borrow her. I bought her a webcam because she's the old nerd that plays games on Twitch.
Okay.
Yes, she does. So I bought her a webcam for Christmas. It's like, worst case scenario, I can put that on there. That's much better, better picture and better sound on that.
No, this is fine. This is good. Kev Chat, I don't know if it's a 3-speed or not. I was not able to clarify that.
No.
I think it is a 3-speed though. I think. I guess I don't know if that VIN number would tell me. It might just tell me it's a stick. I don't know if it would give me the clarification of being a 4-speed or not. I'd have to look it up. Yeah, let's see. RJ, you can build a fastback. Some people just start with a couple of door hinges. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, on my 66, if it wasn't for the sentimental value and all that, I would have been better off just building one from scratch. To be honest, but it's one of those things. It's like, and it was my friend's mom, and we were all involved in scouting. So, it's one of the things that she would appreciate the fact that it's going to look well. She would more wanted it to be stock. It's not going to be, but she would appreciate the fact that it's just not being left to rot, and it's going to look nice. Yeah. So there is a lot of that going on. And I don't plan on selling it. This will be, the better half's her. It'll be her toy because I don't fit in it. It's almost like it reminds me that one time I did a Baja Bug, which I have one picture of, and I was driving it. It was a redo of a Baja Bug. I had to replace all the fiberglass, all that, and I'm driving the thing, and I put my foot on the clutch. I reach, I got my hand on the shifter and I'm trying to pull my foot off the gas. My foot gets stuck between the hump and the brake pedal. And I'm sitting here yanking on my foot to try to get it loose. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to hit somebody. And finally I was able to get my foot out and to get it on the brake. After that, I was like, yeah, I can't drive a Bug. I'm too big. My feet are too big. It don't fit.
Yeah. Well, I know I enjoy, it's been probably a couple of years now, but I enjoy driving my little dune buggy.
Oh yeah.
But it's just haven't had time to get into it. So anyway, yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Versus one that's been made. Yeah, that's right. You're right. I know it's an original stick shift car. I know that for a fact. okay, so Leonard is putting his rear brakes on his Torino, going from 10 to 11 inch, 70 inch rear for better stopping. Yeah, that's a good call.
Also, with the on the Mustangs, I think some of the others will be the same. There's a guy, Mustang Steve, over in Dallas that sells brackets for the spindles, where you can put pretty much anything, any kind of Mustang brakes that have been out all these years, up to even basically brand new brakes off of Mustangs. So you can do 13-inch rotors and basically take the stock rotors and calipers, and with the bracket, it just bolts on.
Okay.
And there's any number of those that you can do, and that's one of those is probably the way I'm going to go with this. I don't know. I won't go super big on it, but
right.
And then the parts, new rotors and calipers are not that expensive for that. You just buy in brackets, and then the rest of it you just buy from Rock Auto or somebody and throw it on there, and you're done.
Yeah. Hey, we have Buck's Wood Shop in the house. I don't know if you've seen his channel. Give him a look. He obviously, it's a wood shop. So I think I did a vlog a couple years ago now, where you see his logo. He's got a cool logo there.
Mm-hmm.
I actually made him a version of that. I took a scrap saw blade, and I turned it into the same logo. I had a friend at work who is, they're much better at TIG welding than I would be, and they TIG welded the words Buck's Wood Shop, and then I turned it into a little. It looks like a sign, like a billboard
Mm-hmm.
that you would find like a train set or something.
Oh,
and
cool.
So it has the curved part of the blade, and it's got a stand, and then it has two little lights on it, so like a marquee.
Oh, that's cool.
It turned out pretty neat. It was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's on his shelf, he says. So he'll put it up in his next video. So yeah, that'll be cool.
The shop I'm in, basically, I set this up as a wood shop originally.
Okay.
I used to do a whole lot of that stuff, and and then it got to the point where I burned out, didn't want to do any more of it, and then the car came along, and it's like, okay, I'll get back into cars again.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was good timing, and I needed to go back to something else.
Yeah.
And this I'm enjoying it more now than I have in the past. I'm not in a hurry, and I'm not in a hurry to get it done, and it's just I can go piddle with it here and there, and right. The drill.
Well, for me, I want to do more woodworking stuff. I just don't have the space, and
yeah.
I've said it before. I took a vocational course in cabinet work or cabinet making, and I've built several things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
That I just like it, but
mm-hmm.
I need to do a video, and I'll probably put it on my other channel, for the workshop channel, that I have a shopsmith that is I believe it's a 46 or 47 shopsmith,
mm-hmm.
and still works. And I bought it off a guy, and when I got it, you could not move it would not slide, would not move around. I had to get some rust off of it and get it working. But it still works. So at some point I plan on getting that thing out and maybe doing a video on it and showing the function of it, because
mm-hmm.
they're just neat old tools.
Yeah. And, in the woodworking community, they don't get a lot of love.
Well,
I'll put it that way.
They serve a purpose.
They do. And if you fit that niche, it's a great machine to have. It does a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Right. And that's, I wouldn't use it as a production tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant for mass quantities of cabinets and stuff like that. But
mm-hmm.
I like the concept of, hey, if I want to build something, I can build it right here. I don't have to have a lathe and
exactly. And I had, before I got the car in here, I had three table saws. I had, I've got a 14-inch bandsaw. I've got another little one that just up there. I had a 36-inch bandsaw. It was built back in the late 1800s. I sold that because it was a monstrosity. And then, remember 1800s, no guards, no, so it was, and it was just, it just had to go. And then now everything is just kind of, I played Tetris to get everything crammed into places.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why. I just have this fascination with a machine that has multi-functions. Just things. It's okay.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it's a Swiss Army knife, a saw of tools.
Yeah.
But that's just something that, it's sitting up in my other garage,
Mm-hmm.
and one of these days I want to turn something on a lathe. I just want to make something, just to say it works.
I'm not good at making stuff on a lathe, but I enjoy doing it. It's just fun to do. It's just fun. It's just fun to sit there and make wood chips.
Well, if you get a chance, check out Buck's Wood Shop. Check out his channel. He does a lot of lathe turning. He makes a lot of bowls and just really neat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he's inspired me to actually want to make some stuff on the lathe.
The last big project I did was the kitchen, and that was all cherry cabinets, and I've got about 30 linear feet of cabinets in there, and it was a
You're fading.
pain in the butt.
I think you're fading out.
Oh, there. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said
I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, 30 linear feet.
Oh, 30 linear feet of kitchen cabinets, because it's basically 15 on one wall, 15 on, it's kind of a corner. And then there's another wall on the other side. I decided, no, I'm not putting cabinets over there. I'm going to build a corner pantry and one little cabinet and put the fridge over there. I was done. It's just too many to build. And what's interesting is what I like using for the coating on, I don't use regular coatings in the kitchen. I use regular automotive clear coat on the cabinet doors.
Interesting.
It's much more durable. It dries, and when you're spraying it, you can spray it on. It dries fast. You're done. You don't have to wait hours and hours for it to be tack free. And a gallon of that goes a long way.
That's
and
good point.
And then you can clean it with whatever you want. You're not going to hurt it in the kitchen.
Yeah. I got a question from Guido. He's asking about, did we rebuild? I guess he's rebuild salvage cars and resale at my dad's junkyard. Nope. There might be something we would rebuild, put a front clip on or something like that, but it wasn't very common that we would do that. It was more about selling parts and building monstrosities at the junkyard. Marble mystery saw, big hydraulic feed saw. I'll take your word for that one.
Hey, Brendan, yes, I am just northwest of Fort Worth.
There you go. Okay. So let's see. Kev says he's excellent on lathe and mill, Class B machinist.
That's my next toys that I want. Because a friend of mine used to teach at the high school, and I used to help with the some of the classes there at the time. We had gotten it set up. We got a new lathe, new mill, and all that stuff, just in time for them to decide that they wanted to tear his building down. So I don't have access to that kind of stuff anymore.
Oh.
And it's like, okay, one of these days I got to find me a mill and a lathe, because there's a lot of stuff it'd just be nice to be able to make.
Yeah. I have a friend who, where I work, he's a welder full time,
Mm-hmm.
but he just built a shop. I think it's, 40 by 50 or something. And he's already got an inventory of machinist stuff.
Mm-hmm.
His dad had a friend who had a machine shop up in Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and they had either upgraded or something. And so from what I understand, he's like, I'll sell you this lathe. And we're talking like a 4-foot lathe
Mm-hmm.
For like $50. It was heavy-duty industrial stuff.
There's a YouTube Adam Booth that does A-Bomb 79, and he's in Florida, and he's gone to a few auctions. And when you watch there were mills there, Bridgeport mills that were a little bit modified in shops, and at an auction, these things were going for $100, and nobody was buying them. And it was just like, if I was there, it's like, I'll take all of them. Let me find a way to get them home.
Right.
And, I could turn around and sell them for $1,000 or more here without even trying.
Yeah. All right. Dennis is leaving. We'll see you, Dennis.
Right, see ya.
Let's see. We have Monarch blades in our shop in Bridgeport Mill. Yep.
Yeah. Monarch is what I would love to have. That's not going to happen. Those things, were extremely well built.
We were talking about this, and I think I mentioned it one time before. My dad would always go to auction sales and buy a whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to an auction sale one time. This is probably in the 90s, and it had equipment, machinery, and different things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had a Bridgeport, and they had a drill press, and they had whatever. But apparently, the people that were running the auction didn't know what these things were. So they put on the Bridgeport, they put a sticker that said drill press, item number 52 or whatever. And then they had the next one said drill press, item number 53.
Mm.
And so my dad walked around, and I wasn't there, but walked around. He's like, wait a minute, that's not a drill press. I know what I'm going to do. So he went and they had the auction. And so they said drill press came up, and they gave the item number. Well, he's like one of the few people that paid attention to it. And he ended up buying this Bridgeport mill for like $150 or something.
Mm.
And then they came up with, he said, sold. Nobody bid on it but him or whatever. So the next one came up, and they said drill press. And everybody's like, wait a minute, what are we bidding on? And so the guys that were looking for the drill press or the Bridgeport, they were upset. But then they said, well, it was sold. You should have been paying attention.
Yeah.
And so they tried to buy it. And unfortunately, they wanted to buy it from my dad right there at the auction.
Mm-hmm.
I offered him a lot of money for it. But he decided, no, I'm going to take it home. And so that thing is sitting in his garage at home, and he doesn't even know how to use it. He's never used it. And it's just got stuff piled on it, And I'm like, Dad, you should have just sold it right then. You wouldn't have had to even load it. Just take your money and run. But
that reminds me, I had a car given to me one time. And this was, and it kind of went that same way. It was a, oh, cool.
Okay.
I have to keep an eye out for that. But it was an AMC Eagle. And it was a buddy of mine. He was moving out of town, and he wanted me to come over to his house. I had nowhere to store anything at the time. And this thing, it wasn't in great shape. But I was looking at it, and it was like, I ended up getting to the point where it was like, I don't know what to do with it. And he was just dumping on me because he said, oh, we're moving in 3 days. And it's like, I ended up calling a junkyard and selling it to a junkyard. And I just handed the pink slip right over to them as it's like, hey, I told you I didn't want it. Didn't know what to do. Oh, hang on just a second. Somebody's getting ready to go to the airport.
Okay. Will you come back? All right. So I'm gonna put Robert off for a second, and maybe we can get Brian. Maybe we can get your question answered there in a little bit when he comes back. Okay. So he's back.
Yep, I'm
all
back.
Right.
Yep.
So there's a question for Brian for you.
When on the cherry, when I did with the cherry was I used boiled linseed oil just to because on the cherry, if you do it bare, cherry's very very light colored. So I did boiled linseed oil, and I just let them sit out in the shop for probably 2 weeks to let it dry, and then I wiped it off, took a tack cloth after it, and then just put my clear coat right on top of that, and it's been in the kitchen for. I hate to admit this, since some of the filler panels aren't finished right now and some of the other things aren't done, but it's been in there for probably 8 years now, and still looks like the day I did it. No problems. I mean, they clean up extremely well. Like I said, that was some Kirker Euro Clear that I used. So it wasn't really high end stuff, but it worked perfectly fine for what I was doing, and I've used it on a few projects, and it works. You know,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't think about using automotive, even the paints on wood. It works great. It's just much more durable. And the fact
Yeah.
it dries quicker makes
keep
life
that
so
in
much
mind.
easier.
I'll keep that in mind. So Jeff is saying hi. Yeah, it's been 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it ran the better half off to the airport, you know, making her go up to Harrisburg.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know how many were on the flight when
Yeah.
out of curiosity.
Probably
I
won't
sent
be
you, I
many.
sent you that other picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
Mm.
Jeff's wife's been pretty busy. Good.
Yeah.
Good for you, Jeff. I'll give you a bell for that.
Yeah.
Take care of her. Good. Yeah. It's, like you're saying, though, you don't think about using automotive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I did something, I don't even know where I put it. I had some damaged wood on my door jamb.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really like, it wasn't rotting. It was just something, I don't know, whatever reason it was. But I found a product at the parts store, or at Lowe's, I think it was. And I'm sure I have it sitting around here somewhere. But it was a red can with a powder in it.
Durham's water putty.
What was it called? Durham?
I think it's Durham's water putty is what I think
right.
you're talking about. Yeah.
I had never used that stuff before. That stuff is like rock hard.
Mm-hmm. I've used it on concrete for filling in little chips on concrete. Yeah.
I was
it works.
Started putting it in the door jamb, and then I went to sand it, and I had to get my 90 grinder to smooth it out.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe how hard that stuff was.
Yeah, because I did it. The garage I had before had a lot of, you know, pock marks and little, you know, however it happened, and you know, all those little spots from rolling around, you know, you get stuck in them. So I used that to fill in all the little dips and, you know, cracks and stuff, and it was like, wow, it worked really well.
Yeah.
Leonard, actually, Weatherford is about 30 minutes from me. There's a really good burger place at a gas station there I like going to.
Okay. That's not usually what two words you put together.
Well, it's one of these. It's you know, it's small chain, and it's the older guy that owns it. And he has a couple of them.
Okay.
And it's kind of like they sell more food than they do gas. Let's put it that way.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect place for the $3 burger and drink.
Kev Chat's dropping out, so
all right. See you later, Kevin.
Later. Let's see. Brian, he's going to try that. Have used the polyurethane, looks good, but not very durable. Mark's easy. So
yeah, and there now also there are things like there are what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, brain fart. There are lacquers that are 2-component lacquers that you can get, and it works very much like an automotive clear coat. You can get it where you mix it, or you can get what's called a pre-cat, where it actually has a hardener that's already added to it. That's kind of between using regular lacquer and a true 2-component where you mix it on site. And the pre-cat is actually not a bad stuff, and it sets up a little quicker. But you know, but after using that and just using automotive clear coat, I like automotive clear coat, to be honest. You know, and you can always put a little flattener in it. You can make it satin. You can do whatever you want with it. You can always get rid of the gloss.
That's cool.
For a lot of stuff, it works great. Yep, Mesquite. I've done a Wendy's in Mesquite. Yeah.
Wendy's in Mesquite.
Yes. Lots of them in that part of the world.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely have to keep that in mind about the clear coat.
But try practice on something first to see if it does what you want. Yeah. Don't just go in and just decide, hey, I'm going to spray this.
Yeah. See, I have a friend who he does all kinds of stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He's a cabinet maker. He'll remodel a bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he did all the kitchen cabinets in our house. And so, great stuff. But his problem he runs into frequently is he has a small shop. And so he ends up having to like put on finishes outside, you know, and he's asked me a couple times about using my paint booth. to do some of his work. I said, sure, if we can, I'll,
Yeah.
whatever. But I don't know if he's ever considered the idea of using automotive finishes.
Well, and the other thing is, and if you don't have room for a spray booth, the bees are out. You can get one of those, like those 10 by 10 pop-up tents.
Yep.
And they have ones that come with sides. They're like party tents and stuff like that. And sometimes you can get those pretty cheap, on Craigslist. You get a damaged one or something like that, or rejects from, and you got a spray booth. You set that sucker up, put a tarp down, boom,
Yep.
outdoor spray booth or drying booth, whatever you want to use it for.
Yeah.
And they're not that expensive.
Yep. So Leonard's saying go to Whataburger on Sundays. I will say this. I drove to Texas, I guess maybe 2 years now, where I towed that Bantam Roadster that I had sold to somebody in Texas. I don't even know where I went in Texas. And that was the first time I ever had Whataburger. It was on the way back. I think we stopped at a Whataburger.
Uh-huh.
And it was good. I'm
not a Whataburger fan. Sorry. I'm not a Whataburger fan.
Okay.
It's okay.
Well, if you've never had one,
yeah,
you're gonna,
exactly, yeah.
But if you've been around them all your life, you may not.
Yeah. Well, I've been here since '89, so
yeah,
and it's okay. It's okay.
Well,
it's a fast food burger.
Sure.
I just look at it that way.
Well, it's kind of like I do not like Burger King.
I don't either. I burp it up for hours afterwards.
Yeah, but I was surprised at the Whataburger, and then there's another one I found it's in Alabama. It's called Jack's, and Jack's has been around. I think it said on their signage since like '46 or something.
Wow,
they've been around a long time, and apparently they're popular in Florida, and they're working their way up. But I don't know if there's any in Georgia, but I did find them in Alabama. So it's pretty good.
I try to find the non-chain type of places to go to.
Oh, sure.
Anytime I can. It's like when we go to the swap meet, there's in Rome, Texas, at a gas station, there's a guy that rents part of the building, and he started a burger place. And a friend of mine and I, years ago when he first opened, we were there the first day he opened. So anytime I go in there, he knows me by name, remembers me, and we talk. And it's called Giant Burger, and it's very simple menu. You get a burger, you get it with cheese, without cheese. There's very little to choose from, but it is, you can see the meat in the back, and they're making the big patties. These patties are easily an inch thick. I forget what the ounces is, but this is more like a half-pound burger or
Nice.
more. And it's just a juicy burger. And it's like, for what you pay for that, you can, it's the same as going to a fast food restaurant and get some.
Nice.
Like, I'd rather go there and get, get something good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you at all.
And it's always interesting when you get the people, you'll be in line and you'll be sitting there and you watch the people that are in line. It's like, oh, they've never been here before because they ordered a double. And it's like, yeah, you've never been here before if you're ordering a double. It doesn't fit in the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. CC never heard of Whataburger, but it's Iowa. So
we have like one Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
And it's not anywhere I go to anymore. We have Brahms, which is kind of, if you're familiar with, what's Culver's? Okay, the way Culver's operates.
Okay.
That's kind of the way Brahms is. Brahms has been around a really long time, and they have their fast food, their food section, and then they have an actual grocery section in the store. So because they're kind of a combination between Culver's and In-N-Out, because they only service, within so many miles of their distribution hub. So all their meat, all their milk, all that dairy comes from their farms, and it's all their stuff. And for a fast food burger, it's a great burger. And like when all the grocery stores has shortages of stuff, that was like, first thing I said was, okay, we need a milk and stuff like that. I'm going to Brahms because nobody else is going to think to go there. And they have milk and ice cream and lots of other groceries in there as well. So I walked in there and was like, man, no shortage of anything in here. I just grab what I need, pay for it, and walk out the door.
When you say Culver's, there's a Culver's restaurant here in Georgia, but it's like a Culver's Creamery or something.
It's ice cream and burgers. They do
right. They don't have any kind of grocery stuff.
No, but the food side of it is very similar to the way Brahms operates.
Okay.
The food side,
Yeah.
and Culver's makes their own ice cream in house, whereas Brahms, they have their own factory making it and they ship it out.
Okay. Yeah, Leonard says go to In-N-Out Burger, which actually, when I was out in Vegas for SEMA, I did go to In-N-Out Burger, and it was pretty good.
We ate there last night, actually.
Yeah.
Picked up burgers last night.
Now I'm getting hungry. Let's see. Oh, Leonard says to get a 4x4. I think that's what I actually got. I think because my buddy took me there, and he said that's you have to go to eat.
I get my mustard fried.
Okay.
Where they squirt mustard on the grill when they're cooking the patties, so it kind of gives it a little bit of caramelized with the mustard on there. It's different.
Yeah,
it's different. And I get my fries well done because I like them crispy.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Brendan says he'd love to have a burger right now. One of the first things I'll buy after a lockdown.
Oh,
as well as panel steel.
the other day when I went and picked up groceries to drop it off at my parents, I went to Sam's, got some stuff at Sam's, then I got the bread and milk at Brahms, and I figured, you know what, I'm here. I haven't eaten out in 3 or 4 weeks now. So it's like I ordered me a burger, and I was like, man, that was the best burger I've ever had. It hit the spot.
We're on lockdown, but it's not stopping us from going and getting stuff.
Yeah.
We probably get pizza at least once a week, and I went to Del Taco yesterday because they had a grand opening in our town, and if you were in the first 100 people that got there, you get 2 free Del Tacos every week. So I'm going to take advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
So I got that, and then I picked something up for my wife, and so that's been every week I go to Del Taco and get some food. Here's a quick little question from 84C30 Scott, if I remember correctly. How hard is it to learn to weld? Build a brush guard for a truck. It just takes practice.
Yeah.
Practice. And I've said it before. If you want to go really learn how to weld, there's a welding tips and tricks.
Yep.
He's a friend. He's a friend of mine. And he's got that's all he does is welding. So go to his.
He is extremely informative.
Yeah, go to his channel. He actually worked with me, and he left so that he could run that YouTube channel. And so he's
one of the things I've always had an issue with is the big thing is get a good hood.
Yes.
No matter what you do, get and because some of them you can see through better than others, and and to be honest, I prefer a fixed shade hood to some of the auto darkenings, because some of the auto darkenings, the contrast is a little off.
Yeah.
And I haven't tried those new true, I don't know what they call them now, but the new ones, they're supposed to be much clearer. I haven't tried one of those yet, but I have a hard time with a lot of auto darkenings because there's just not enough contrast there. Yeah.
I use an auto darkening. It's a Miller that somebody gave me. It's a friend from work. And they'd gotten new ones. He gave me his old one, and it works really good. I like it. Guido's, and wait, this is Lucky Luciano. That's different than Guido. That's not Guido. He must be another, because I gotta think of who. Anyway, we'll just skip ahead. In and out, one in our town, family owned, not public owned. Public. Okay.
Yeah, it's still they're privately owned. Yeah, and I believe it's the daughter that runs the company now, if I remember correctly. Chucky 2009. I know who you're talking about. He actually is not too far. I want to say within 45 minutes, an hour of where I live. Other than that, I don't know much about him. I remember seeing a few of his videos here and there. Well, I was more interested in it because I noticed that he was from here than anything else.
Well, like I said, go to Welding Tips and Tricks. Go to his channel. That's where you need to go. Check him out, and you'll learn some stuff from there. Well, no. Wire feed welder has to have inert gas. I don't have, but don't have an inert gas tank. No.
At bare minimum, go with CO2.
Yeah, that won't work. You have to have inert gas to weld, to make weld.
The oxygen in the air is the problem with welding.
That would make it even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't do that. Sorry. Man, 2 hours and 50 minutes. That's.
I tell you what, you were asking how the weather was here. It's like right now, this is perfect. It is just perfectly comfortable right now. You get that tiny little bit of cool coming in here, and yeah, you couldn't ask for better.
Well, I'm gonna have to I have to show something that I recently bought, and I'm probably gonna hang it up in the garage somewhere because I'm always looking for new things to add to the shop or whatever. And this is the same company that I buy my stickers from. So I had this made.
For the floor mat?
Nope.
Oh, nice.
I got a big banner.
Nice.
That I had made up. I thought about this was kind of an experiment to see how well it would turn out, right? And I think it turned out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty good. And what I thought about doing, because it's one thing people like stickers and they want stickers, and I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Patreon account where if somebody signs up for that, I send them a sticker, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about maybe I'll do it on Patreon. I don't know. Instead of ordering, this size, maybe a smaller one, slightly smaller, like half scale, and make that something I could get.
Because it'd be just like putting one of those metal car signs, up in your shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it'd be easier. I've had the flags made, and the flags are okay. But I like the banner. It just has a nicer feel to it. But either I'm going to, I don't know. That one's like a 4 foot by something, 4x2, whatever it is.
2x3 max was what I'm thinking.
Well,
that's what I would think.
Yeah, they have another version of like it's half that scale.
Okay.
2x3 max probably. So, but what I might do, I don't know how I'm going to do it just yet. If I'll make them available for sale or giveaways, I don't know. But I wanted to experiment, so that's why I got this one. And I may get. I mean, it's a good size. It's 2x4. Leonard already says he wants one. Leonard has done a pretty good job with. He's bought shirts from me and various other things, hats. So that's been really great. But yeah, I'll probably put it up in the shop, and I may even get a bigger one. I don't know yet, but I just wanted to see how it worked out because I ran out of stickers, so I had to get a new batch of stickers made. And surprisingly, the company that I've used before, they should have had my information on file. Mm-hmm. So I submitted to them to have it remade, and they remade the stickers, but they're actually just that much different. Instead of having I think my original stickers, which I don't know if I have. Yeah, I still have one in here. The original sticker has. Trying to think what the difference is. This one has like a black border around it. I think now it's like white. It's like it's a white border or something. I don't know. But it is slightly different. But I was like, oh man, you already have it on file. How can you mess this up? Yeah. But I'm not gonna. That'll be my stickers.
That's like we don't have pictures and stuff hanging on the walls of the house, right? Because we're simple, we're boring. We don't have furniture we don't need. Let's put it this way. We don't have a dining room table anymore because the two of us, it's just the two of us now. We don't need the dining room table. Daughter moved back in for a while. I sold ours. So hers was in there. When she moved out, hers went with her. And it's like, now we just have a room that's just empty with nothing in it. So
I would like that.
So what I ended up doing was for Christmas for her, I was thinking, because she was starting to do more of the streaming and had her camera set up with, behind her. Yeah. So I figured, okay, let me take some of the pictures that I took in Greece. And I just went down and had Staples print them up. And they turn out extremely well. Just take them, frame them up, and put them on the wall. And it's just kind of, okay, now we can put something on the wall where we've been to, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. All right. See you, Scott.
See ya. Probably boring you guys to death at this point.
Probably. We're just having random conversations about eating burgers. But and speaking of which, I wanted to bring up, have you ever heard of Freddy's?
Yes.
Okay.
I've eaten at a Freddy's, and I believe that was where's NASA, the NASA museum.
In Alabama, right?
Yes.
It's in North Alabama.
Yeah, I can't mind going blank where it's at.
Yeah.
But I want to believe we ate it when we went to that museum there. Is where we ate at a Freddy's there, which kind of reminded me very much of Steak and Shake, but with better ice cream. Yeah.
I've had Freddy's a couple times, and I would prefer to have Freddy's over Steak and Shake.
Well, it's like, I used to go out. I used to go to Fuddruckers. I'd go to Fuddruckers and buy buns because you can buy the buns. You can go if you go to the section where where you can buy the desserts and stuff. You can buy buns by the dozen, and they're cheaper than the grocery store. And they're better buns. It's like I'd buy those. The problem is if they were fresh and that bag of buns is sitting on the seat, I tend to reach over and grab one, and I'm eating as I'm driving because it's just fresh bread is hard to beat.
Yeah. Oh man, I might have to go get some Wendy's. We don't have any specialty burger places around here, but I'll do Wendy's, or Arby's. I like Arby's.
Yeah. Well, next time we do this, I'll have to get it set up, and I've got Wendy's in the garage. The big signs on the side of the buildings, one that used to say old-fashioned cheeseburgers, the big long and the big oval with Wendy. I have one of those that I saved. Cool. I wasn't going to let that go, so I've got one of those I saved. And it's like I need to hang that up out in the shop somewhere here. Yeah, I couldn't let it go.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, and I got an order counter over here from a Wendy's. It was it was stainless steel with a solid surface top. How can that not be a good bench?
Yeah. So we have Leonard's In-N-Out shakes are the best. Okay. Well, you know what? It's going on 3 hours.
Yeah, and my butt's getting sore because I'm sitting on one of my little Harbor Freight, the little cart with the tool drawers in it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have much foam.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
There's not much padding.
So now I'm getting hungry, and I'm gonna have to go get some burgers.
Yeah, I have to figure out what to make, since it's just me, since she just left.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy to go out and get something.
Well, if it's me, I would just have a can of ravioli, but that's just me.
I do the same, and I'll tell you what's funny was back when the mess started when you couldn't get anything, and I had some neighbors that needed some stuff. My parents needed some stuff, and it was like Sam's was out of everything. So all the stuff they sell at the cafe, the hot dogs and the pretzels and stuff, you can buy that by the case. So I bought a case of hot dogs, a case of buns, and a case of pretzels. Okay. So I've been known to just take a pretzel, let it warm up, toss it in the toaster, toast it, put some salt on it. Oh, that's a meal.
Okay. Well,
yeah, we're simple.
Yeah. All right. Oh, Leonard's got halibut on the grill. I'm gonna go to Leonard's place.
I'm gonna try to pick up some brisket tomorrow. I want to do brisket.
All right. I gotta go. I gotta get some food. Okay. So it's been fun. I know this turned into kind of just random conversation, and that's fine. It doesn't always have to be focused on cars or whatever. We got some. I'm glad you were here with some information, especially talking about the differences in the GM cars and things that we can use, some knowledge we can use. It was nice having Ricard here. Obviously, he's not here anymore, but we'll do this again. I'll probably do it again next Wednesday if I can. We'll see what happens, but that's going to be it. So thanks for being here.
And I'll have a cable out here.
Sounds good. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.